Hello, everybody. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that must mean it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. Joining me, as always, my own personal Everchosen, apparently, it's Tom. What's up, buddy?
Hello, friends.
For some reason, I ever choose to be on this podcast with you or YouTube show or whatever the heck we're doing, raising questions that I might be caught in some form of madness. Anyways, also joining us this week, we're glad to have them both back on the show. It's the Rerolling One's crew. It's Shu and Jack. How you doing, gentlemen?
Hey, it's me. What's up? How's it going?
Should I say Jack and Shu? Would that be better? Is that
No.
However you want to do it. I'm basically his J for this
Yeah.
one, or Final Bob, right?
Shut up. No.
so? Today we're going to be talking about Wrath of the Everchosen. This guy right here, and I'm real excited about this. I like this book quite a bit, and I hope it is a herald of many things to come. Chaos heralds. We all get it, right? Okay, let's see what's going on. These are the jokes, folks. All right. So at any rate, we're gonna deep dive into that. But of course, the normal stuff first. Tom, what do you got? What do we got for news? It's a quiet week.
Rumor engine?
It's up on the screen. It's a demon face thing made of metal. Okay, and you can tell it's metal because you can it's painted metal, and you can tell metal paint because of the thickness of it because they use bad GW metal paint.
Indeed. I mean, the question is it a shield?
It has certainly the little in cuts down at the side next to the teeth. It looks like it has the in cuts of a big piece of armor. It could also be the front piece of an armor plate.
Like a chest piece. Like I think about I know that it's not this, but Be'lakor had this like demon like face on the front of his armor. And it was similar to that. Likewise, we've had shields from like the Chaos Knights that have similar demon faces on.
Yeah, sure.
So
what does this come from?
You guys aren't particularly old Hammer, right? Like, I don't know.
I mean, I've been playing since 1997. So.
Okay. So it seems like this seems like a rehash of something that we've seen before, like a breastplate or a belly piece or something that, like a Chaos Dwarf or something else like that.
Oh wow! Are you taking a big Chaos Dwarf swing here? Is that what you're doing?
Yes, Mr. President. That's how I'm interpreting this as a Chaos Dwarf. My vote is Chaos Dwarf.
Wow!
I don't know. Like, if Brent were here, he'd tell you it's like, oh yeah, that's Lamasu's butt.
Yeah, definitely. I vote chaos. Something chaosy.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure. The question is, what exactly? What chaos release don't we have yet? Right. How about more? How about more Slaves to Darkness stuff, or maybe a Slaves to Darkness Warcry warband?
No, I'm gonna make the call. I know what it is.
I'm ready.
It's a new Demon Prince kit that's going to come out with a 40K release.
Oh, okay.
Ooh. I like that.
That is true. It could sneak out, and you could sneak out a new Demon Prince in multiple ways, right? Because that one kit is cross-platform. You guys will have to scoot together.
Yeah, that's the plan.
There you go. As we're joined by Brent, who's joining us as well. What's going on, buddy?
How's it going?
Now we got the whole crew. They're all here.
Oh, wait, we got one more in here. He's running out of the room.
Yeah, we're all here. We're all here.
Yeah, we're all here.
All right, it's a package deal, and we couldn't be happier. We always love it when the whole crew's in there. Although we got to get a wider angle lens. I'm gonna send you guys like a fish angle lens so it can just be like really just a fisheye lens.
Farther away.
Yeah.
We could probably solve this here.
Nah. We need to get new technology. It's more fun that way. Plus, you'd all look really weird through like that weird fisheye lens where it'd just be like all
the edge
strange and distorted. Yeah, exactly.
I'll double up on this.
Yeah.
We'll do a top down. We'll all be on the bed next time.
Yeah.
You ever solve the problem though if you don't buy something like
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. We'll have to buy something for that shot also, and we'll call the show Pillow Talk.
There you go. That's good.
Yeah.
So to close out the rumor engine, I agree with Carter in the comments. It's giant armor. I'm saying this is just more armor for my Sons of Behemoth. Like, let's do it. Let's get these giants rocking. Can we just get these lizard men out and released so I can start hearing about my giants? Okay, can we just get this release over with? It's all that stands between me and my giants. So
Did you see it, Brent? Did you see the face?
Like teasers, probably. I mean, we have those Lizardmen teasers in the the Seraphon teasers. Probably so next 2 weeks ish, maybe. What do you think?
yes, next 2 weeks for Seraphon is my guess, because we had the come visit the Hammer Hall Herald joke today, which always happens like within 2 weeks. Gentlemen, how do you feel about 2 weeks for Lizardman, Seraphon, Slán?
Oh, I would love that. Like that's been my thing I've been looking forward to the most, because not just because my brother plays it, but it will kind of complete the chapter of all the armies that have gotten books. And I actually predicted that to be out sooner, but I was wrong, and it happens a lot.
Yeah, it feels like either it's going to be, say, announced to go on pre-order this Sunday or next Sunday, and then meaning it would actually go on pre-order the week after that, meaning it would actually come out like the first week of March when you trace that all out, right? Like, so it's shocking how quickly these weeks go by. But yes, which means that'll basically be the last big thing before Adepticon, that we will see the rest of the elves at Adepticon.
Did we mention how disappointed we'd all be if that face in the rumor engine is for 40k orcs? And not
Yeah, it did come up. It did come up. This should be for 40k.
I was like, no.
Every rumor engine is always for us, as we know. Every time. There's no, they don't rumor engine 40k releases as near as I can tell. It just doesn't happen. So that's nice. Never happens. Yep. Absolutely. All right. So I think that's all the news except for the thing that I wanted to talk about real quick.
Go ahead.
So just my last news, reminding everybody who's watching, my classes are up for teaching the week after Warhammer Fest in Darksphere in London. So that's May 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. It's 2 separate 2-day classes. It's an awesome space, lots of room. We have a whole back room of it dedicated to just us. It's in a real nice location. So it's very quiet. It's great. I don't have to yell over other people playing tournaments and stuff, which is nice. And it was great last year. Really excited to be going there again. As well, my class in Michigan in June is up. So you can find all of those down in the link below in the description. So check it out if you're going to be anywhere near London there. And that's a holiday weekend in the UK as well. That Friday is a holiday. So hope to see many of you there. Okay. That's it. That's all the news. It's a quiet week. Gentlemen, let's talk pick of the week. The whole crew. You can you can break it up individually. You can all do one, whatever you want to do.
We're gonna each do one.
All right, I'm ready. Hold on, I gotta grab my paper to write down. I'm not gonna remind all of you.
I thought collectively we had one.
Well, you can co-sign on mine.
All right, I'll co-sign on you. Maybe.
I'm ready.
Okay, for those of you who don't have time to read The Wrath of the Everchosen book, which is I suggest you do, Doug from 2 Plus Tough did a fantastic job over the past week and a half, I would say, breaking down the lore in Doug's only special way he does. And that's my pick of the week because I listened to it a couple times so I can be sure exactly what happened. And
Yeah.
And so, yeah, if you don't have time to read, if you want to put it on the background while you're painting, I know it feels like, hey, it's a cheap plug, but he's our boy. And I wouldn't be into this hobby as much as I am without Doug, and he's a great guy. So 2 Plus Tough, go check out his Wrath of the Everchosen videos.
I was going to pick that one too as well, because just briefly I wanted to mention there's some parts of the book that didn't come alive for me as much as they did in Doug's lore video. And it kind of goes like both ways, but there's a few things like reading through the book and I was like, oh, well, like I didn't pay that much attention to it the first time, but then when Doug talked about it in a certain way, that was like, okay, now I'm more excited about this.
Do you have an example? Do you have a little teaser, a little thing that really clicked?
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, so are we going into
we're going to talk some narrative. We'll stay away from any too big spoilers. We'll do the full spoilers later.
Other than the one we did in our intro.
Sure.
At least just so it's when the Chaos Warrior zombies are coming through the end gate for the first time. Doug really ramped that up as I think that they intended it to be, that it's this rising tension that, you know, the zombies are coming through, or something's coming through the gate. The zombies start coming through and the Chaos Warriors and Marauders are laughing at them as they're just like, oh, you know, a bunch of crappy undead are coming through the gate. This is nothing for us to worry about. But then more of them start to come through and the situation starts to get worse and worse. Just the way he framed that in his video got me really excited, more so maybe than the text in the book did.
Yeah. Plus, in the book, there's not a point where somebody goes, "Oh Lord, he coming,"
That's-
he does that in the video. So
And that's the spice that we need.
Yeah, that.
Nice.
I hope GW's watching that one because
Take
we need
notes.
to add that one.
Yeah, that's well. I think that's exactly the voice that Catacross would speak with. Yes, that's him.
Yeah, nice. For me, I do have a little shout I want to do. There's a small battle report channel that's just getting started called Partners at War. They're super close to 1,000 subs, and I'm hoping your Warhammer Weekly Army can go help them out just to get them across that line. They have some pretty good quality in their battle reports. The tactics are impressive, and they have a good dynamic. So I think they're a family channel, partners, obviously. So check them out.
Nice. Very
Yeah.
solid picks all the way around. Love it.
I met them at LVO. Great people. So
Yeah.
I co-signed on that.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome. Are they from? So they're from like out west somewhere, or?
You ran into them at LVO, so they
Yeah.
could be from anywhere.
Yeah.
It's like killing a mystic in Dark Crystal. Who knows?
Fair enough. Tom, what do you got, buddy?
Cubicle 7 released some more stuff on the AOS RPG that's going to be dropping in this next year, and I'm interested. Like the most recent stuff was all mechanics related, so it was articles on combat, and then refresher articles on how they do like skill checks and tests and stuff like that. And coming from an RPG background and having done some helped out with some design with RPG stuff, it was just a real fascinating set of reads. And so it got me super hyped to play some witch elves.
To RP a witch elf?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I will link that.
Jeff is the bar. Kills everybody.
Everybody. The death hag, or not the death hag, the hag queens are some of the playable characters.
Mm-hmm.
So that's some of the classes that they've announced. So that's I'm super stoked. I'm excited to see what they do with it.
Yeah, as somebody who I've played D&D once or twice, and it's always interested me, but I'm really interested to dive in to this, because it's a setting I really enjoy, and I'd like to play a skink. So let's get into it.
So Tom, I mean, I know you're an RP guy. So if we manage to put together a regular session, would you want to join?
I mean, maybe.
Oh,
Right on.
It's
Cool.
shocking to me that Doug is not a regular D&D player. Speaking of, it's just that's a great.
We had this conversation with him last time he was on the show.
Well, if he did play D&D, it'd only be for 3 months, then he move on to another.
Yeah, he'd sell his character.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. We gotta start a new character. Gotta go
Year
play. He'll be playing Mech Warrior after that. Then he'll be doing Rifts. He'll be on to Vampire the next month.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I thank you for the invitation, and hit me a message. We'll see.
There you go.
Cool.
That means you'll end up playing more games. You can't distract him from writing the game he's supposed to be writing for us for this summer to bring his epic 7-year marathon game he's running to a conclusion that we fit multiple other people's trilogies in the time period since then.
I haven't committed to anything.
Yeah, you're committed. It's been
When you're busy as you guys are, you got to protect your time. I get it.
all right. So for my pick, I'm going to go for, given that we're going to be talking about Wrath of the Everchosen, you might want a little refresh on Slaves to Darkness, which obviously underpins a fair amount of what we're going to talk about tonight, but not all of it. And why look here, there just happens to be a fantastic Slaves to Darkness deep dive that happened recently over on AOS Coach's channel. So go check out the Coach. He has a really nice, as usual, what he does is very focused on exploring the faction, really understanding it, understanding in what situations things can be fun, can be useful, can be valuable, and so on and so forth. So I'll link that down below. Go check it out. It's a nice long video, as Coach often does when he deep dives. He means it, so you can really get the full breakdown of the book. Okay, so gentlemen, let's talk about some hobby time. So what is the Rerolling One's crew hobbying on right now? What are each of you working on?
I'll go first. I am so I have a GT this weekend, and of course, it's weird when you transition from an army you have fully painted and going to a new GT where there's painting requirements, but you don't want to take your old army. And I have the conundrum: do I cram and have a product that I'm not happy with, or do I try to get what the bare minimum is, which is 3 colors and based, but they're not all the way done. And so I'm going with that, so I can play with them, play my guys, but I really want to take my time with this army, so I'm proud of it. And maybe not win a best painted, but I'm in the running and I have something I'm proud of. So I have that conundrum, and I'm just right now getting that bare minimum so they don't pull my models off the table before I start. That's what I'm working on.
Right, so is he painting the Knight Heralder like below the camera right now?
Yes.
No judgment. No judgment.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, my answer is just get it to where you need to go to, and then what you want to do. You boys are rolling out to Adepticon, so that needs to be your target, right? Because this is a local 2-day GT for this weekend, right?
Yeah.
That's fine. That's you're okay. You show up, you got what you got. But when you go to the big show, you got to put on your Sunday best. That's all I'm saying. So
I would like to also give a shout out to Andrew Eddles, who ran this GD. This is the second year, and the first year we had about 20 people, and this year he worked really hard and we sold out. So
nice.
Congratulations to him. Nice. He's working really hard. He's like my local Warhammer hero. So he's a great guy.
That's awesome. Shu, what about yourself?
Oh goodness. So I just made my Adepticon army complete. Basically, I just wrapped up the last unit that needed to be in there, and then a wizard that needed to go in there. They're both on my Instagram if you follow it. The big thing is 2020 is my road to retirement. I want to retire from mini painting. I'll be the guy who does all of his stuff, so you all can say you know him.
But like trying to go out at the top, is that what it is? Trying to go out at the top of your game?
Just paint the things on my backlog and be done. So it's 10 Phoenix Guard, Phoenix Temple Guard,
Phoenix Guard,
and they're a Temple Guard. Those are lizard guys, and then a wizard. Yeah, so I made a sorceress into the Grand Verbena of my life army. So she'll be at Adepticon, looking a little chaosy.
Nice, nice. Dig it. All right, Brent, how about yourself? Have you finished an army since we last chatted? Have you finished a model since we last chatted?
Trust me, no. The answer is no. Here we go. The countdown is here. So I have committed to doing Night Haunt, which I at least had some of painted in a skirmish campaign that we did on the channel a long time ago.
Nobody watched.
That was maybe not as well received as some of our other content, but that's okay. I have committed to finishing 1,000 points of that. So that means the Black Coach is currently on my painting table. And there's lots of other recent diversions of a campaign that we want to do. So I've been painting, or I green stuffed in Prime de Lamasu. I've converted a Knight in Cantor. So kind of a jumping around, but no, the next month we'll just be finishing the Night Haunt for Adepticon.
Nice.
Well, they're a joy to paint. Like, man, I loved painting my Night Haunt, and like it's made me sad that I haven't been able to fit more into my schedule, because like what would have been painted would have been my Night Haunt, and they're gorgeous.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. And starting on the Black Coach too, it's not as intimidating as I thought it would be, because I just started to go like, I'm just gonna paint wood brown, and that already feels like I got a lot done. So
nice. Dig it, yeah. Do a Morngul next. You're like 600 and some points into your whole army. You're rock and roll.
Morngul Black Coach. That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Tom, what about yourself? What are you working on, man?
Fire Slayers.
Still going.
I just like, the problem is that there's just like, I went with the most complex theme possible. And like, I'm not missing any of the detail. So like, I have multiple colors of metal, and the consequence of that is that like, there's just like, they look like very simple models, and I've found a way to make them not simple. But it's fine. It is what it is. I still have a little bit, like, I need to finish these 40 Earth Guard that I've been detailing for the last 2 months. And then once that gets done, I have a couple more odds and end models that I need to paint for Adepticon, which I'm not looking forward to, but they just have to get done. And then even today, I cracked open some kits with my kids, and some of their stuff even from Christmas. It's been a long road, obviously, since Christmas, but we're finally getting to sit down, and we're, cutting some sprues and gluing a Maw Crusher and a Tree Lord agent together today.
Nice.
So that was
Nice.
fun. Yeah.
And now, is that their stuff, or is this like just labor for you?
Nope, that's theirs. Nope, that's all
Nice.
their stuff. So they were some of their Christmas gifts, and my son was working on he's very Timmy-ish in his playstyle, and so it went from wanting a Star Drake, which he's enjoyed in the Stormcast, to now he's been playing Iron Jaws and he wants a Maw Crusher, obviously.
Well, naturally.
I mean,
Naturally.
I give you props.
He's clearly a man of refined taste.
I cannot get my kids interested in Age of Sigmar at all. They don't. They think it's cool I have a YouTube channel, but they don't.
I mean, my daughter loves to paint, and so like that's why we moved. Like she started with like some elves, and so I moved her in. Like we were talking about different stuff, and so she's doing Living City, which has allowed us to do some Sylvaneth, which will be easier painting, because it's just wood, and like contrast does that kind of stuff really well. And then I mean they're 9 again, and then my son is doing Iron Jaws because he likes hitting things, and so they've been really easy to paint. He's done some pretty good work given the fact that he hates painting. So
Oh, nice.
He'll get there. He'll get there. You got to instill that love in him, Tom. That's what you got to do.
right, he likes punching things, which I can respect. Like I do. Like he likes a good punch up. So and he's going to get it with that Maw Crusher.
Cool.
So
awesome. As for myself, I finished up, obviously, the Lord on Karkadrak over the weekend. Shared him out. That was a fun model to paint. He's now over there as that force continues to grow. I finished up my Celestant Prime conversion for Whirlwind's Edge for my Tempest Eye successor city. It's not the Celestant Prime you know or love. It's a very different Celestant Prime. He's over there in the case now, and I'll post him up at some point probably this weekend whenever I have a chance. And then I says I'm leaving for Holy Wars this weekend. I was getting a couple things ready, so I was working on an elf here. It was the sorceress. I also converted a sorceress, although into a more standard elf, in that she has like a sword arm now, and she'll be for a competition. And I did a little video out of her for her skin tone. She has a very pale skin tone. And then really what I've been working on is I wanted to do something a little different. I've been thirsting for a non-gaming project, so I'm working on a bust here of a vampire lady who's licking her lips as she's enjoying a fine taste of someone's blood. So there you go.
Oh, cool.
Is Holy Wars the one where you guys sat on the same table the whole time with your Daughters of Cain?
No, that was Holy Havoc. It's the same TO. He runs 2 tournaments a year. This is the single player tournament.
Yeah. that story traumatized Jack, and he didn't even play there.
Sure.
I play a shooting army. I'm like, that would be so unfun.
to come join us on the table where we got like +6 attacks per model, and then charged across and hit you turn 1 and exploded your entire army with hordes of buffed witch elves. You're saying that wouldn't be fun for you?
I mean, let's be clear. You got to pick your opponents.
Sure. Yeah.
So like nobody was ever forced to play us.
Well, one person would be forced to play us at the end.
Yes. Yeah. And so, I mean, it happened once.
And they changed the rules because of you guys. I get you.
Yeah, basically, yes. I mean, Tom charged some plague monks in that game. He had a standard 30 pack of witch elves. He charged a 40 grip of plague monks, and because of the negatives to charge, he only got 6 in. He got 6 witch elves into 40 plague monks, and he still overkilled the unit by 8 wounds. That's the number of bonus attacks we were dealing with. Every witch elf had 7 attacks.
And I had Mind Razor. I mean, come on, I was doing 2 damage a hit.
You have Mind Razor, yes.
I don't know if that's a Timmy or that's a Palpatine. That's
yeah, that's pretty awful.
It's pretty dirty.
So Vince, you mentioned the Karkadrak that you shared. I was looking at that, and then you said you did a Celestin Prime, and that basically broke my brain, because when I'm working on projects, and I, as a fan of your channel, I haven't seen you talk about this yet. So maybe you have, maybe you haven't. You did a lot of content, but I haven't seen you talk about your method for planning what projects you're going to do and when you do them. Okay. I project manage the heck out of myself to get stuff done. Okay. So I don't know if you have something similar you do. Maybe that's a video request. Take that as a request.
Sure. I don't know that I'm going to be super helpful because I mean I can sum up my strategy like this. Paint 3 or 4 hours a day every day, and then paint 16 hours plus on the weekend days, and sleep less, don't have a social life, don't have kids, don't do anything else, and then just keep painting. You'd be amazed how much you can get done. And like, how do I, what do I decide to do for the next project? Whatever I just like, that's the
Whatever you feel like
lowest
it.
point for me is
Yeah.
in between. That's the
So-
period of ennui because like I
Okay.
finished that Celestit Prime, and then I have to like I clomp around my office, and I'm like, I don't really feel like doing 10 Chaos Nights. I don't know. What do I want to do? What do I want to do? And so like then that's the time. So I'll spend a couple hours hemming and hawing over that. Once I'm into the project, it's just you just go. You just do it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the answer is that he keeps at least 2 projects going simultaneously at all points in time, and so that he can move between the 2 of them based on where he's at. If there's drying time, because he's working so continuously, you're keeping generally 2 projects, Vince, 3 projects.
Never more than 2. It's always 2.
Okay.
Project
It's
management
always
says
2.
you never do
Yep.
more than 2 projects.
Well, what about you, Tom? Do you project manage yourself? I mean, you and I both have 20 kids, so
Yeah, we do. So for myself, I normally I let events drive my deadlines. Like that's a big part of it. Like I intentionally schedule events and I paint towards events. So like my actual painting schedule for a year is often whatever army I'm going to do for the year, I'll start at at the General's Handbook in the summer, and I'll get 1,000 points done by Holy Havoc, or 1,500 points done by Holy Havoc, so that I can take it as a team event. And then I'm 1,500 points into my events the multiple events that I'll do in the spring going into the next summer, and I'll play that 2 to 4K of points through the rest of the year, and then start again the next summer. And so I generally try to stay locked in on one project. This year has been a very abnormal year for me because I did Night Haunt. And then what ended up happening is in the midst of doing Night Haunt, I had already locked into Night Haunt, and a Fire Slayer book releases leading into that. And then it gets an advantageous point adjustment, over that GHB. And then in the fall, Cities of Sigmar drops. And so suddenly and then now KO have dropped. So now I have 4 viable armies going into my spring, with only some needing to be painted. And so I've been actually project hopping pretty terribly as I've kind of moved around what I wanted to do. Like I have 40 half-painted Tempest Eye Dispossessed that I've shelved and put off to the side. And now I'm back on Fire Slayers trying to get that done. And I've basically completely set aside all Night Haunt until I get all of this done. So I've just been moving around quite a bit. And so I have terrible project ADD right now where I have a bunch of half finished things.
But it sounds like you are keeping yourself excited with things. You always have something cool in the wings, right? So
yeah, I mean, I don't paint anything that I'm not passionate about. And so that's one of the things that Vince really got me into early, is that most armies I don't how do I want to say this? I am not interested in painting something stock most of the time. There always has to be a twist. It always has to be something very personal. And it's that personal aspect is what actually drives the project to completion.
Right.
If it's just something generic, it's not interesting. But because I know I'm contributing something original to the ecosystem of ideas, I want to get my project done. I want to get it out there in its totality. And so that's really what's driven my kind of my project, the impetus to push on. Night Haunt was super boring and uninteresting to me until I took the Druchii Dark Elf angle and did a bunch of weapon swaps and all that, and suddenly it became really interesting. Where it just wasn't just stereotypical neon green sheet ghosts. It took on it kind of truly a life of its own, and so that became an interesting project to me. And then my dwarves, I've just continued to return to them over the last 3 years because I've expanded them out to be Tempest Eye and KO and Fire Slayers now. And so, and when I get done with when I get done with this and the other stuff that's in progress, I'm gonna have over 10K of this army probably when I get done.
Wow.
Between my KO, my Fire Slayers, all themed together similarly. So I mean, it'll be like I'm excited just because I want to do a big spread of everything that I have done when I get that done, because it's going to be, I think it'll be a pretty impressive site when I get done. So
let me answer Doug's question in that comments, which was, do I finish the 2 projects before picking up another 2? No, I usually just have one sitting there on the side, where if I'm hopeless and don't know what to do if I get stuck, I can just go work on the other thing. That's the answer. And it'll sit there through multiple things. So like I'm working in normal sprints, remaining agile, but I have like at the same time, I've got this other ongoing larger project that I can always just chip a few hours onto or something.
A couple of evergreens.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. That's right. Exactly. So, that's the way that I cannot recommend that enough, to be completely honest, because then if you get stuck, if you're not sure what to do, if you get bored, if you're just sick of painting, like, oh my God, I've done so much of this stupid army and I'm going to bang my head against the desk if I have to paint 20 more of these morons, then you can just go over to the other thing you're doing and just do that instead. Cool.
That's my Phoenix Guard. They're all clearly idiots. Their mouths are open, but they never speak.
Right. Oh yeah, because they're all like, yeah.
It's so true.
They're screaming
That's
silently.
Since you bought those models.
Yes.
He's just like, don't they not say anything? Like,
They still breathe.
Yeah.
They sprinted. They're puffing and
That's a
puffing.
good point. Maybe they're all just breathing really. They're all mouth breathers. All elves are naturally mouth breathers.
It's like the
As all
Namarti,
elves are.
it's like the Namarti icon bearer. It's like, how do they know she's there?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, nice.
It's it's a feeling they get. Echolocation. They're for the banner.
I'm braver. Obviously, there's somebody around.
Yeah. I feel as though I'm bravery 7 now. That's weird. All right. So, lots of fun stuff there. So, gentlemen, you ready to talk about Wrath of the Everchosen?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. All right. So, let's save the narrative for the end so we can do a little spoilers at the end, okay? Like I had originally put it in my agenda kind of first, and then I realized that was bad because then people are watching live and might not want us to spoil it. So we will discuss the narrative of the book, but we'll save it for the end, and then so we'll say spoilers at that point. So for now, we're going to talk just the rule stuff to start. No spoilers. You can stay with us. You're all good. Okay? There you go. By the way, if at any point you leave, before you leave, you should hit that like button. That's just a thing. You're supposed to say that in the middle. Then people do it. So there you go. So hit that. Do that. All right. So gentlemen, I am excited about this book. Let's start at the top. Overall, I want to get your feedback from the 3 of you. What did you think of this at a high level? Especially let's hone in on the rules part. What did you think?
Can I just quickly weigh in? I think that's the coolest battle plan they've ever done.
Okay. No, seriously, there are a bunch of new really cool. There are battle plans that match to every narrative battle that happens in here, and some of them are really good. I agree.
What did this get previewed at for the first time? Was it LVO or was it the one before? Because I feel like
it's the end of the year, back in December.
Yeah, it was just like something like I remember hearing about, and then all of a sudden it was upon us. Like, oh yeah, that's coming out, and I was very I like anything where it gives you another new way to use your army.
Yep.
Especially I don't know if we go to winners and losers, but Nurgle they were like the beta version for 2.0 Age of 6. They got their book way back then, and I feel that this really I'm not going to say it moves them up to like a top tier army, but this definitely gives you more ways to play in a because they didn't have the Stormhost equivalent for their army, where this book actually gives Nurgle players a few things where they can definitely a new way to play your army, because I'm sure they might have been getting bored, with Affliction Cyst and all this stuff, and you just have the same force, and now you get your Anvils of the Helmhammer type ability.
Right.
I really that's what my favorite thing about the book is.
Good timing for army too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You mean my new army in 2 months?
New realm as well. So because we have our obviously our realms where we can play in. So we all know you can play in Akshi, and it has command abilities and spells and a spell table. Oh, but look here, now we can use the 8 points, and it has a fully functional table.
Yeah. I love the one where you decide the player.
I know.
That one's so fun.
That's the one we used. I wanted to say, since now we're moving into the AOS second edition endgame. You know, after Seraphon, everybody is placed in a battle tome that is at least most recently updated. That I think this book is a good introduction to, like, well, what type of material is going to come out after all the battle tomes are out. So yeah, maybe there's some other ones that will be, you know, that were like right before second edition that will be redone too. But like the front of the book, you know, it says Soul Wars, Wrath of the Everchosen. I'm anticipating there being a series of supplementary material, and I think this is a good start for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we did see Realm Gate Wars, and now we're seeing Soul Wars. I like how they're moving the chapters forward, and I'm also hoping to see more.
Totally agree. I think so. Let me dive in on that real quick, because yes, I agree with you, Brent, completely. I think this is one of the markers of content that we're going to see going forward, right? But here's my question: how many of these can we withstand a year before it's bloaty and too much? Like, this is a great one. If you're a fan of like true chaos, that is to say the 4 chaos gods, sorry Beastman, sorry Skaven, you get nothing. Get out of here. Get out of here. Chaos Dwarves, you get a passing mention in one of the stories. That's what you get. You get passingly mentioned and then slaughtered. That's your place in this.
1 is your answer.
1? You think 1 a year?
You get 1 of these narrative books a year.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, man, because like they opened with those 4 fantastic Realm Gate War books. I mean, holy moly, if they did something to that quality, that level every single time. I mean, I know that was a product launch thing, but they were amazing. They still sit as like some of my more favorite gaming books.
Like, it sucks that nobody played back then, but they're really quality. But it's they're lost in the trash heap of first edition AOS.
I mean, you have Malign Portents.
Yeah.
Before Malign Portents, you had the Firestorm box, and then you had Malign Portents, and then you have this.
Well, we had.
Are you counting Forbidden Power in there?
I mean, there wasn't a story there. Like, if you went and, I mean, but there weren't playable match play. Like, there weren't playable.
That's where we get Lethis and Grief from.
Oh,
Legion of Grief is from that too.
Yeah, Legion of Grief.
So it was very, but it wasn't. But it wasn't of. Let me say it this way: it wasn't of even like the content of this book. Like,
no, I mean, it's not on the same level. I agree, but still, I think you just forgot about Dre, and you shouldn't do that.
You're just trying to be right. Like, how can I be right? Hold on. Let's see.
Here's what I'll say, Tom. I do agree with you that classically these have been 1 a year. I think you're right. History says we get 1 of these a year, right?
Yeah.
But that was amidst where we still had a lot of battle tomes to put out. So
I don't think you can do more than 2. Let me say that. I'll put a.
All right, your flag's planted on 2.
Yeah.
Jack, how many a year can you withstand?
Of these, because you also have to remember we're getting GHBs every year too. Sure, absolutely. So I think 1, including the GHB.
Okay,
so I think 1 of these a year.
I'm the opposite. I love the narrative and the battle plans and the goofy stuff that's in there with duels, and like, give me an ocean of these narrative books and I will get my surfboard out and ride gleefully. That's crank them up.
You might have to paint new models though.
It's okay.
You're going to return.
In this case, they're way more likely to deprecate War Scrolls of things I love than they are to release stuff that.
Sure. All right, so
they would release a
Brent,
year.
What's your call?
Yeah, Vince, maybe this is what you were kind of getting at too, is if there's 2, like, when we're going to talk about the rules later, some commentary I was going to add is sort of my caution about adding rules that maybe a lot of people want to use in supplementary material, because so like Legion of Grief is a good example of, like, if more people competitively are more interested in playing Legion of Grief, it's like, oh, well, you also have to have the Forbidden Power book on top of the book, and that to me starts to get kind of overwhelming. I don't think this book has that problem, but yeah, if there are 3 of these a year or whatever, I could see that happening.
Do we have an indicator from 40KS, a more mature title, about how they would handle
well,
like?
That's right now. That's a mess. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they do. The battle tome equivalent is a codex, right? So they do those codexes as patches to the game, right? They all bring something new to the whole game.
Basically, yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, like, it's focused through particular armies. Like right now, we're about to do like in the Psychic Awakening thing. I think I don't remember exactly where they are, but maybe they're about to do Necrons, and yes, I'm gonna say Necrons.
Just don't say Bone Daddies.
And well, we're gonna talk about, but like when we get to the narrative, it's gonna be a Bone Daddy-a-thon, brother.
Oh, no.
He said it.
But at any rate, like, yeah, sure. So they, they point is they focus on individual forces, and it's all one massive overarching narrative event, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that I love that method in 40K. I like them better like this, where it feels like each thing is a coherent story. Like the beginning and end of this story is effectively here in this book, and something in the world did change. Like we can do a part 2 to this, but this is a coherent story with a beginning, middle, and end, right? It's not an ongoing television show where it's like previously on, and then next week on the Necrons enter the fight, right? So
it's nice if you're not committed to that. Like if you're not into that story, then you don't have to suffer through the next book. Like the Realm Gate Wars was like, well, if you're not into Stormcast Eternals, we got 5 books of Stormcast Eternals. Everybody
get into it.
Hitting Stormcast Eternals hitting things.
Yeah.
So if you don't care about these factions or this fight, then next book will probably be something different.
Yeah, I don't know. Realm Gate Wars brought us Torglug, and it brought us some great stories from the Glockhin, and the guy who went through the Realm Gate into the Plague Garden, and was
for sure one day we will play every Realm Gate Wars book.
We have to,
but
I want to
Gardus.
Sure. My line would be 2 of these a year. I think 2 of these a year would be awesome. Like one is an earlier release and one is a sort of later year release. Let's call it like Q1, Q3.
So I won't change my answer to 2.
So you actually see, like, Vince, to your credit, like if you look at our schedule, like last year was an anomaly. In general, we have a flurry of release activity leading up to summer, and then often we have a flurry of release activity from like September on.
Yes, because they know when people buy things.
Sure, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is they could lead with like one of these campaigns. In each of those quarters, like in September, January and September, and then that could set the tone for the releases for that flurry of activity.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I think 2 is right, because then it doesn't get too oppressive. And also I would love to see an index somewhere. Like this is here's a feature request for like Scroll Builder or something, or just a place on the GW website where you can literally just see source references to where everything's from. Like, oh, I want to play Legion of Grief. Where can I find that? Oh, it's Forbidden Power, page this. And that's it. That's all I need, right? It just tells me this is what I want to go get, right? Because as time goes on, and this stuff isn't going to rotate out anytime soon, like Legion of Grief will be a thing. And 2 years from now, who remembers it was in Forbidden Power? Tom did remember right now, right? He talks about this every week.
It's fine.
Bringy Dingies from that book, a bunch of stuff.
The Bringy Dingy, absolutely.
That's not a thing. That doesn't exist.
All right, but I agree. On the whole, I think this book is really good. I actually am really, really, really happy with this book. There's a couple of just like obvious little rules picadillos that need to get fixed in the FAQ, but like even then they're not the dumbest of dumb things. But for the most part, I was super excited about all these because they actually hit. This felt like, yep, this is how subfaction should be. Right? Did you get that feeling reading it where I just read it and I was like, yeah, all these feel interesting, but almost none of them are like way up here or way down here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They really hit a point with these.
Yeah. It's like if you read, if you're going through like the lore first, and then like if that's your introduction, and then finding like how they're represented with the subfaction abilities, like I thought that was cool. Like I didn't read about the flayed, like the subfaction abilities, like, but before I had read in the lore about like the Bone Reapers battling the flayed, and I feel like there's good synergy there, trying to represent like, well, what do you have for this faction narratively, and then what kind of rules do you give them to match?
Yeah, I agree. So, and it's just like, it shocks me when I look at this is a lot of new sub-factions / allegiances they introduced, and the fact that we nailed basically all these, and I thought there are a couple that I'm like, I'd probably never play that, or that isn't really interesting to me. But for the most part, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, I could see playing that. That's kind of cool. I could see playing that.
I can't shake the feeling that some people are just super match play gamers and they get in there and like, I wouldn't play this, wouldn't play this, wouldn't play this. This one's okay, wouldn't play this, wouldn't play this, wouldn't play this.
Yeah.
Like I'll leave it to Rerolling Ones to film those.
You got to realize that's like match play and competitive players are like, it's the vocal minority. You hear like we're in like, especially I went to a lot of tournaments, so I'm in the bubble, and you realize most people, they don't really play super competitive. They listen to it, or they'll be like, but it's like not everybody needs to play, whack lists and stuff like that. Some people just want to have. I'm not saying that's not fun.
Yeah, Tom.
No, I get it. You can play all types. It's all good. We play the game the way that you find compelling with a group of people who agree with you, and you will have a good time. It's that easy.
But does that mean you think Five Bloodthirsters is fun?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Oh, we'll talk about Five Bloodthirsters. That's for sure.
So what I'll say is that I don't think that, like, when I looked over the actual abilities, I didn't feel like any of it was broken.
Yeah, I want to put a pin on like one thing that just needs like an obvious FAQ.
Sure.
But other than that, I agree with you, Tom. I agree.
Yeah, like I looked and I'm like, okay, that's a neat ability. Yeah, that could be fun. I'm glad Nurgle got this. Like as I was reading through and I'm just like, oh yeah, like, okay, that's fine. Like I could see some lists where I might take that. But in general, like, maybe not, like, and that's okay. Like none of them felt over the top. None of them felt necessary. None of them felt just, filth.
Yeah, honestly, the biggest detriment to choosing some of these is that there are, really potent bentish ones in the source books, right?
Yeah.
That they're competing against, and you're like, oh, well, this one's actually pretty good. It's just I'm not sure I would take it over like Reapers of Vengeance or something, right? Like that's the corn one is every corn thing is getting held up against Reapers of Vengeance or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
And that's a shame. But at any rate, I also just want to give a shout out to the Wandering Endless Spells and Roaming Monsters, as both of those are very fun. I'm not going to go into great detail on them, but they are super cool in the way of how many it can spit out, like quite a lot actually. It's like when they say roaming or wandering endless spells, they're not joking. You can end up with quite a few of those, especially if you yourself are making them too. And the Siege Warfare rules are actually really nice, fully expanded out Siege Warfare with additional abilities for all the different armies in the game based on whether you're the attacker or defender, all of which are very like in flavor. So
I was so pumped by those siege rules that we went out and bought a Mighty Fortress set.
Yeah.
But like the
original Styrofoam
yes.
Mighty Fortress.
That's
and
amazing.
the channel.
Can I say that the charts for the Wandering Monsters and the Endless Spells, that you're like rolling a d6 to see what they do, has got me excited for the possibility of Sons of Behemoth also having charts where you just roll to see what they do. Bring back giant charts. Please.
That does not make me excited, Brent. I'm going to vigorously disagree. I would like to pilot my giants. Thank you.
I love those. I mean, like in Warhammer Fantasy, when you would roll and you'd see what goofy thing they do. We don't like that.
No, I did not like that because
You're not a real Timmy. That's the problem here.
Sure.
Well, I think you have your giant, but there should also be another one on the table that's not aligned. Right?
Timmy's giant.
Yeah, Timmy, like the dice giant is just too drunk to be parsed for you.
Now, here's what I'll say. If you can give me like an option, I'm in for that. That's fun sometimes, right? If it's like, oh, you can attack with the club all the time. You can just choose to do that, and it does like, 4 attacks at blah, 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 and this and that, and X damage. And you can always choose to do it. Or you can choose to roll on the crazy giant table where he might do any of these 5 things, and some are worse than the club, and some are better than the club. Okay, now we've hit it. Yes, that's fantastic. Great. Because now, no matter what, both people can get kind of the way that they want to experience it out of it, right? Because nothing was worse with that old giant table than, like, crashing your giant into a unit. He could legitimately, like, he would destroy that unit, and then you would just roll, like, the Yellen ball or whatever, and, like, okay, he wins by 2, and it doesn't matter because they're basically on Bravery 10, re-rolling, and there it is. Okay? Yay, nobody goes anywhere. Wonderful. Well, that was fun. I killed nobody with my giant monster. Great.
Well, at least these charts, if we don't get something like that, then I'll at least feel satisfied with having something like this.
Right. So I love things like that when they're sort of the way that Skaven were redesigned is the right way to go, right? Where like it's not like every time you fire the gun you have to be risking a malfunction. You can fire the gun and get a normal effect all the time, or you can choose to do the crazy thing, but then you risk, right? That's the way I would want to see it designed. I'm down for that. That's all in A+, great design right there.
Yeah, and it's almost never not worth it to take the risk, especially if you hate your own rats, which is the right way to play.
Yeah. I will agree. And it's funny, too, because in that situation, you're right. I do almost always just go, no. I just like, yep, this thing's always like that. It's always shooting 46 shots. It's always whatever.
Yep. And it's never worth it, but, it's okay.
Sure. You mentioned the battle plans. I agree. They're all actually fun, narrative, solid, good, interesting setups, too. I like the Battle of Herod. I don't know how you say it. Herod's? Herada? I don't know. The Battle of Herada's Torment. The one with like the huge area of impassable terrain along both sides of the board because it's meant to be the funnel, right? Where they're catching them in the sort of hot gates there on the edge of the cliff. That one's cool.
These like green zones.
Yeah.
They're like you can't move in there or only if you fly. I think that's kind of cool.
Which one's the dueling one? The two.
Fate of the 8 points.
Fate of the 8 points.
Yes.
Best battle plan ever.
Sure. I would love to see that impassable terrain concept get it passed into like a match play battle plan in some way. Not maybe that amount of space. That's quite a lot of the board. But in some way, like where it reshapes the board. I think that's a cool concept. I'd love to see that show up in some kind of match play plan in 2020. So.
Yeah. Especially if you could work in somehow a mechanic where you switch sides to finalize the game. Could be interesting.
Oh, sure. Like where you're both trying to get to the other side very aggressively.
Yep.
Yeah, sure. All right, so gentlemen, let's get into the individual things, shall we? Like the individual allegiances, as it says. Allegiances. We'll keep it simple. All right. So there are two like broad-based allegiances. That is to say that are just true allegiances. And then there are a whole bunch of chambers. So let's start with just the full-scale allegiance. So first one, obviously, is the one we all heard about. You see them in the story quite a bit there at the very end, which is the Legion of Chaos Ascendant. When you are choosing a Chaos army, you can decide if it's a Legion of Chaos Ascendant and has the Legion of Chaos Ascendant allegiance instead of any other allegiance. If you do, all units in your army gain the Chaos Ascendant keyword. Please note that this army can only include units that have the Chaos Demon keyword. So, only Chaos Demons. Obviously, the main demons we all think of, no issue. That's simple, like your Plague Bearers and your Bloodletters and that kind of stuff. But then also, you could still sneak in things like Archeon, right?
Harbinger.
What's that?
Harbinger of Decay.
Yeah, Harbinger of Decay.
So he's like, I count.
Yeah, that's right. The Chaos Lord on Demonic Mounts. He's another one who still has that keyword, so he can sneak on in there.
His war scroll not real anymore.
It is.
No,
He's still.
Oh, it's there. Vermin Lord Saber.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. All right. So, this one's actually, I find this one very interesting because it's meant to be a catch-all that you can run any of the armies in without using their normal sort of allegiance ability. So let's talk it through, right? So, Infernal Realm Walkers, you can roll a die each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to a friendly Chaos Ascendant demon unit. On a 6+, that wound or mortal wound is negated. Okay, simple enough. So the whole army gains your 6-up shrug.
It's nice. You don't need a hero near you or anything like a lot of death armies do. It's just table wide. Everybody gets 6-up.
Absolutely. And if you've already got one, that obviously stacks. So say you do happen to be Nurgle demons, then you have normally a 5-up. Now you've got a 5-up, 6-up. Right? So, okay.
Very good too. 5-up, 6-up.
Cool beans. Unyielding Legions. At the end of your movement phase, you pick one friendly hero, Chaos Ascendant Demon Hero, and roll 3d6. On a 10+, you can summon one of the following units to the battlefield and add it to your army. If you pick a Khorne hero, you get 10 Bloodletters, Nurgle 10 Plague Bearers, Slaanesh 10 Daemonettes. You get the idea. And Tzeentch 10 Horrors of Tzeentch. Of course you do.
Of course you do.
Of course you do.
I tried.
They couldn't just say blue horrors, and make our lives better, but no, that's fine. All right. The summon unit must be set up wholly within 12 inches of that hero and more than 9 inches from enemy units, so pretty standard sort of summoning mechanic. And if the unmodified rule includes doubles, you take a wound, and if it's a triple, you take D3. Who cares? And that's basically your rule. So you have a little free summoning mechanic and army-wide shrug. It's interesting because you can only summon once a turn. That's basically replacing any of your other army summoning, right? So because you're not taking the Khorne allegiance when you do this, you're taking this allegiance. So instead of using your blood tithe and all of that, you get this. Yeah, pretty interesting stuff. There's obviously there are command traits, artifacts, and spells for this as well. And I actually think there's some good stuff going on here. I'm going to call out a couple here for us to just kind of talk through, and then we can talk about what we think of the Legion of Chaos Ascendant in general. So, one, you can have a command trait that lets you add 1 to the roll for your 3d6 roll. So, basically, the average on 3d6 is 10.5. So, you have, a little better than 50% chance to pull that number. Plus 1 actually makes it a pretty big shift. But Ruinous Aura, add 1 to the rolls for Infernal Realm Walkers battle traits made for friendly Chaos Ascendant demons wholly within 8 inches of the general. So you turn everybody around the general, including the general, into a 5-up. So now your Nurgle dudes are 5-up, 5-up. Pretty good. Pretty solid. You have an artifact that just lets you reroll all saves for the bearer, which I think is pretty solid, as well as a weapon artifact that any unmodified 5-up just becomes D3 mortal wounds. So you got a little mini, but easier to hit sort of judgment. And you have a spell that gives you a fight after death. You've got Death Frenzy, basically. You can pick a Chaos Ascendant demon unit, and if a model from that unit is slain, they can attack before they're removed from play. So there you go. So pretty cool stuff. Good options all around.
It's interesting. The Foulfold blade. It's not in addition to. So if you have a weapon that does 3 damage base, it might not. Because it just does the mortal wound. It doesn't do in addition to. So
right.
If you have a really strong weapon, it might not be worth it. But mortal wounds are always nice.
Sure. That being said, I'm not sure that obviously a lot of people enjoy taking the Sword of Judgment on somebody like the Vermin Lord Nurgle guy with 10 attacks, right?
Yeah.
And he could fit in this army. He is a Chaos Demon. It would be kind of interesting because now you've effectively got 2 Swords of Judgment.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Right? You could have 2 heroes armed like this. Give this to him. He can be marching around there any 5-ups. You got another guy out there. Plus, this one isn't only to heroes and monsters. It's just anytime you attack. If you get a 5-up, it's straight D3 mortals. Boom.
Yeah.
And it's not unmodified. So if you do have anything that gives you +1 attack,
No, it does say it's the unmodified.
Oh,
It's unmodified, yeah.
It's on the 5+.
I have to admit that my formative years were crested on the Realm of Chaos books, the red and the green book, and really, man, does it bug me. I know they had to be united in order to destroy the old world, but it really bothers me that there's not chaos animosity anymore. No, Khorne and Slaanesh don't march in the
Chaos
same line.
animosity is so old. I don't even. I didn't even play those rules.
Yeah.
And I'm going back
This
being
is-
this is a good throwback to when we could finally play all demons in 6th edition.
Out there in the audience somewhere, Bernie Sanders is like, I remember that.
He's an avid watcher of the show, I'm sure.
I remember.
This MF spitting.
No, I like this because it is if you have a bunch of the different chaos demons and you want to get that, I agree with you, Brent. In 6th, 7th, and 8th, and that a lot of that time period, you would see people run these kind of mixed demon armies, right? Just relying on basically power pairs and units to do stuff. This does let you achieve that, and I actually like some of the synergy in here. The fight after death is cool, couple good artifacts, and the fact that you can get back your old demonic save through this, I think is super cool. I should also mention that there are four new battalions for this because
you can't run any of your old battalions, right?
you cannot, but you can run any of these 4. Okay, but if you run the 4, you're then going all in on one type because the 4 battalions are 1 per Chaos God, right?
But isn't this just the best way to run Nurgle demons?
I don't know. Well, when we get to the Nurgle sub-allegiances later, I think there's probably some better ways. But that being said, like you can put your Nurgle demons onto some pretty redonk saves because as mentioned, the Harbinger can fit in here, and because you can have your general broadcasting a 5-up around him.
He just buffs mortals though.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true. He just his 5-ups only for mortals, isn't
No,
I only pointed him out because he's fun.
it? That's true.
around your general though, you'll be like 5-up, 5-up. Like you're functionally going to give the same bubble,
Yeah.
because you take the trait that moves a 6-up to 5-up, and so you just don't spend command points and get the Harbinger bubble permanently around your general.
Right.
Yeah. This is the kind of thing where you'd bring, where if you want the Demonet synergy for dice them up, you want a couple skull cannons and a Lord of Plagues, or not a Lord of Plagues, with the Gonna Clean one.
Yep.
This is a goody kind of army.
If you play 40K and you have a demon army, you can come and play this in Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
I do want to talk for a moment about these battalions because they're kind of interesting. They're all right here and listed. There's one for each god, as mentioned, and they're all set up the same. You need 2 to 3 Chaos Ascendant, Khorne, Daemon heroes, or Nurgle Daemon heroes. So they're all 2 to 3 heroes. And then the Chaos God's number of Chaos Ascendant, that type of unit, bolded. So let's take the Slaanesh one, because of course I'm going to pick the Slaanesh one. 6 Chaos Ascendant Daemonet units, but Daemonet is bolded. Right? So anything that has that Daemonet keyword, you can slide on in here, right? What excites me about that is this is the toughest Slaanesh army you can possibly make. Like, yes, you won't have your locusts, and you won't have your depravity and all that, but you can have your 5-ups. That's right. You can have Slaanesh units that have an after save. Isn't that exciting? But like, if you think about the Bladebringer Chariot or something like that, right? Or the in Tzeentch, like the horror Flaming Chariot. All that stuff has the right keyword to still be part of your units. So when it says 6 Chaos Ascendant Daemonet units, it doesn't mean like 6 units of Daemonets. And that would be easy for people to misread. So.
But that also means that you can have like pink horrors with a 5-up, 6-up after save.
Yeah.
It does, yes.
Oh, that'd be so hard to chew through.
That is true. You don't have fate points or destiny dice, but you do have a lot of saves. And you do have an ability to once around summon 10 more horrors.
Yeah, why don't all the Tzeentch players out there play this instead of shoving Tzeentch?
Well, I mean, couple like Gaunt Summoners have the Daemon keyword, don't they?
Yes.
So, that seems fair, right? Because you can just take a couple Gaunties. They're bringing in 10. Every round you're rolling for that and summoning 10 more. So you can just be spamming horrors out there. I mean, just outrageous numbers of horrors. Like you could easily summon like it's in the ballpark to summon 80 horrors over the course of the game.
Oof.
That's not impossible.
It's rude.
You will not see that on Rerolling One.
You do.
Greg
But-
can't.
I would point out that you can 1-drop with the Host of the Arcane as well pretty easily, but you can't have any flamers in it. That's what you're losing. So, there you go. All right, cool. Any other thoughts, gentlemen, on the Chaos Ascendant that we want to touch on before we move on?
I don't like it.
Do you want to include Legion of the First Prince when talking about Legion of Chaos Ascendant? Because that one's only for
Yes.
Legion of Ascendant.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great shout out. So let's talk about Legion of the First Prince. So we'll jump from the full on allegiance down into one of the hosts you can take, namely the Legion of the First Prince. and this is Bellacor's host, obviously, and it is specifically takeable with this thing. Like, that's because all of these sub-allegiances we're going to talk about are gated based on your allegiance, and this is the one specifically for that, right?
I'm so glad that they took a model like Bellica and made him as cool as he is. Because, I mean, if you have this really old, I mean, it's such an epic-looking model, the Bellicois, and I'm so glad they did something with him that's like giving him the treatment that he really needs.
Yeah.
Bellica.
You realize how small he is, but he's powerful. There's just one thing. We actually shot a battle report using this for Rerolling Ones, and there was one thing that I didn't really like. It's where he is where you have to have one of each unit near you to use his ability, which that seems like unreasonable.
The buff is like, it's good, but it's not that good.
It's not good.
Like, if he's within 8 inches of all 4 of these other units, that's fine. I just kind of ignore that. But him passing off the wounds, I think that's
Well,
that's cool.
let's go through it real quick here. So I'll very quickly trot these out.
In order for it to work.
There you go. Yeah, that is your standard formation. Yes. All right. So first, Damned Prince. So you can reroll hit and wound rolls for attacks made by Be'lakor while he is within 8 inches of at least one of each of the following friendly Legion of the First Prince units: Bloodletters, Plague Bearers, Daemonettes, and Horrors of Tzeentch. Now, I will point out that, again, those are all bolded, so you could technically have, like, Tzeentch Chariot,
The heralds,
a
the
Slanesh
foot
Chariot,
heralds.
a Foot Herald, like the Tzeentch Horror Herald, the Foot Daemonette Herald, the Bloodletter Herald.
It's a little reasonable, but it's still.
So you could just have like his cadre of lieutenants of his 4 little heralds following him around, granting him those abilities, right? I'm just saying.
Nobody's going to do that.
Does Bellicois have Behemoth keyword?
No,
I don't think so.
So you could have 4 demon princes along with him. It'd be perfect.
They don't have the Bloodletter or Plague Bearer keyword.
Yeah.
Delete that.
You're okay.
Catch that in editing, Vince.
In addition, before you allocate a wound or mortal wound to Be'lakor, pick one friendly, blah, 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 all those things we just said within 8 inches of him and roll a die. On a 4+, that wound or mortal wound is allocated to that unit instead.
that was really good with Plague Bearers. I just had 10 Plague Bearers roll with him, and I did it wrong, but I think I did it wrong in the way that it was less beneficial for me. But yeah, if he's just allocating wounds on a 4-up to Plague Bearers, who then can ignore those on 5-ups.
And then a 6-up.
Cool.
5-up, 6-up.
Oh yeah, and then a 6-up from the
Legion. The Legion, yeah.
Mm-hmm, so.
Yeah, he gets super tough if he just has like a bodyguard unit around him. Yes. So yeah, I agree.
Other thing I want to point out too is then you're gonna talk about the spell.
Yeah.
I believe this can combo with the other spell, Echo of Hatred. So can you double up on a model gets killed and they pile in an attack?
Yes, because that has been clarified that those effects are stacking before in the FAQ. So
tried to do that, but all my guys died. So.
Sure.
One must have a living model.
Right. So your command ability is you can use this command ability once per turn at the end of the battle shock phase if Be'lakor is your general on the battlefield. If you do so, roll a die for each friendly Legion of the First Prince, Bloodletters, Plague Bearers, Daemonettes, and Horrors of Tzeentch unit on the battlefield. Period. On a 3+, you can return D3 slain models to that unit. So that's, pretty good. It's not bad, I think, as things go. And then, yes, the spell lore is the Master's Command, which is exactly the same thing we mentioned. It's a fight after death thing, right? Like, if you're slain, you get to fight before you're removed from play. The point being that if you die, then you get to pile in and fight twice. So that's pretty good.
Do Seekers have the Daemonette keyword?
Because Tom, I know exactly where you're going, and the answer is because it's D3 slain models. You're thinking too small, Tom. Okay, you're thinking much too small.
Are you thinking chariots?
Because Seeker chariots can be taken in units of 3 and have the Daemonette keyword. So you can just Be'lakor can just wave his hands and return D3 Daemonette chariots to the battlefield out of the unit. As long as one chariot is left, all the chariots are coming back, baby.
Well, that's a high point investment. I was thinking about having like interceptor chaff units and like objective grabber units that like are a lot more durable. Because like normally it's normally 10 wounds, 5 models that it just implode, but now they're on 6-ups. They have 6-up after saves.
Those are hold on. Those chariots are 360 points, okay? For 18 wounds of chariots on a 4-up save that races around the battlefield at 12, does mortal wound impact hits, and can retreat and charge.
And now you're getting 2 for 1, so they're even better.
Yeah, and they
I don't know.
Too. That is a hot pick. Returning chariots is always busted. I built my entire 8th edition career on returning chariot models.
Yeah, at Nova, they were playing Tomb Kings, and they were just bringing back the chariots that Archeon was killing.
That's been broken for a long time. Yeah.
There was a Tomb King player and just couldn't kill all the chariots. He just bring them all back.
Mm-hmm. Chariots are battle line in that army too, right? I think. Yeah.
Oh, it's a dead army. It doesn't exist.
It is dead. I mean,
also, I would point out, Tom, that Seeker chariots are also battle line in a Slanesh Godseeker's army. So, just saying, you can have a lot of chariots and bring back a lot of chariots. Because, yeah, they'll die, and then they all come back, and then they retreat and charge in again. Yeehaw! Just
well, you can't be a Seeker. You can't be a Seeker in Chaos Ascendant. Like, and you have to be casted.
Right. You can't be Godseekers.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah. No, I'm just thinking about filling my like the like roles within the army, and how do you do that like and maximize that? And so the idea was that like yes, you'll have some objective holding like plague bearers and stuff like that, but just wondering like could you get some solid chaff, regenerating chaff? You know, like yes, the chariots could also do it as well.
I mean, I'm amazed we haven't talked about plague drones yet. Mm-hmm. Because plague drones have the plague bearer keyword. So, like, you can just regenerate D3 plague drones.
We have 6 of them, right?
We have 9 on our channel, and then 6 more on loan from Cranky Old Gamer if you want it. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, and like blocks of 6 of those.
Those guys versus 5 Bloodthirsters. Do you guys want it? Let's see it in chat.
Like, I mean, like 6 of those with the regenerating model restore. And having like a great unclean one at their back, like that's like there's gas there.
Yeah, sure.
That too.
No, it's a cool army. I do wish Bellicor, as you so sarcastically and wonderfully pointed out, Shu, was not the tiniest, most unimpressive model in the history of models. Like,
hey, I like my Bellicor. Shut your mouth.
He's like the size of an ogre, and a pretty boring sculpt for the first prince.
Yeah. Bellamy, the first prince.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to let Shu paint it because I was like, I finally admitted I will never paint this model. Go for it. I think I gave it to you first.
Yeah, he gave it to me.
Yeah,
he painted it. It's still mine.
We had a really bad mishap where like minis got sold, and then I bought them from the reselling website, and someone's like, "Oh yeah, that was mine." Oh. Yeah, we're not like. Yeah, we're not professional.
It's fantastic.
So cool stuff. I really want to see the army of regenerating chariots. I need some more chariots. Okay, that's what I just learned.
Yes.
Don't have enough. Okay, cool. Thank you very much, Brent. That was great. Thank you for pointing us toward the Legion. I had forgot that one was specifically tucked under Chaos Ascendant. All right.
Yeah. It's kind of a weird spot.
It is. Knights of the Empty Throne. So this is such a weird army. This is like, I want to play Varangard, but I don't want to take Archeon, which, by the way, might be the right way to play Varangard. I'm not sure. Okay? So, the Knights of the Empty Throne. If you have your army, this is an allegiance. However, it's still slaves to darkness, right? So here, at least that's what it seems to imply. Like, you're still a slaves to darkness army. You're just choosing to also be Knights of the Empty Throne. Exactly how those two things work together isn't super well understood at this exact moment, but I know this is getting clarified in the FAQ because it's already been mentioned. This will be one of the clarification points of how do these two things interact, because they seem like completely separate full allegiances, and yet it seems like you get both of them.
Yeah. This is kind of like, wouldn't this be like one of the storm hosts?
Well, it feels like it, but it's not at that level, right? Because it has like the whole charts, command traits, and artifacts, and the whole deal, right? battle traits and everything. All right.
Well, no, that's how the other ones do.
Not multiple selectable ones. Not reset. This one is a full allegiance. Like, here are your multiple battle traits and command abilities. Here is a list of command traits you can take. Here is a list of artifacts of power you can take.
Yeah,
that's not Anvils of the Helm Hammer.
No, but that's how the spoilers works. That's how these work in Slaves to Darkness. Remember, in Slaves to Darkness, they have all their own charts.
Oh yeah,
all their own items, all their own command traits, all their own command abilities.
Yes.
Yes. So that's just how it works.
Yes. So assumingly, you're right. Thank you, Tom. I don't know where my brain was at. Thank you. Too much reading of sub-allegiances in a row got me thinking.
Clearly.
It scores 1-1. One for Tom, one for Vince.
There you go. All right. So if you've given your army the Knights of the Empty Throne keyword, friendly Knights of the Empty Throne Varangard units gain the hero keyword if Archeon is not part of your army. Okay. And then if you do that, they can those heroes can only have the command traits or artifacts of power listed opposite, and the Lookout Sir rule does not apply to those heroes. And they get 2 different command abilities, one of which basically lets you pick one enemy unit that controls this is actually a crazy command ability, so I want to read this one out because this one's nuts. All right, we all ready for this one? Because this one's crazy. Unmatched Conquerors. Like, this is a new space we've never really played in this exact way before. Okay. You can use this command ability at the end of your charge phase. If you do so, pick one enemy unit that controls an objective and is within 12 inches of a friendly Knights of the Empty Throne hero, which could be your heroes or your Varangard, because they would qualify for that. Roll a number of dice equal to the number of models in that unit you're targeting. Okay.
Yep.
For each 3+ until the end of that battle round, the number of models in that until the end of the battle round, not turn. Right.
Yep.
So if you're going first, it's through both turns. Just wanting to really point out the nuance here. The number of models in that for each 3+ until the end of that battle round, the number of models in that unit that are counted when determining control of that objective is reduced by 1. The same unit cannot be affected by this command ability more than once per turn. So, you've got a unit of 30 dudes on an objective. You charge into them.
I need you to break it down.
Yeah, because hold on, man. That's a lot. That's a lot of walking just to be counted one less dude. It's like, if you saw an old-timey bicycle that day, and you passed by a mustachioed man.
It's many less. You charge your let's set up a situation like this. There's 30 guys on an objective, and you charge your Varangard, or your Varangard happen to be within 12 inches of that unit. Okay?
Yeah.
Or you charge into that 30 block or whatever. Okay? Let's just assume that happens. And then at the end of the charge phase, you use this ability. Okay? There's 30 models in the unit you just charged. Right? You're going to roll 30 dice.
Right.
So, and you're looking for 3-ups. So statistically, you get 20 of those.
Just to jump in, it happens regardless of whether or not you charge.
Correct. It's just at the end of the charge phase.
If they're neirby.
Yeah.
The key is if they're nearby. Because what Vince is about to say is that then you charge him and obliterate the 10 models that actually count for capping the unit.
Ding, ding, ding. That's exactly right. You have 3 Varangard charging 30 guys. They would normally be hard-pressed to pull them off of that objective. They run in, use this ability. Statistically, they reduce a 30 block by 20 models counting. There's now only 10 guys holding that objective. If the Varangard kill 10 guys, and there's only 20 people left, that unit is 20 minus 20. It counts as 0 models to hold that objective. The 3 Varangard just took it.
I got it the whole time. It was
okay,
mainly for
you're gonna have to delete that.
But so what's fascinating about that is that, like, poor
rats,
ogres.
Like,
yeah, sure.
They work so hard with their Stonehorns and Thunder Tusks, and the Varangard are like, you don't count anymore. Because that model doesn't count. And so, like, no matter how much they count for, that model does not contribute anymore.
Correct.
So immediately, if you roll a 3+, they're just out of the running.
Right. That like Stonehorn just doesn't count anymore. You're just rolling 1 die. If you get it, you're 0 now. You're back to your old. But get back to how you used to play.
Get back. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a
cool.
really interesting command ability in the way they shrink people off of that.
Yeah.
That's kind of a cool thing. That is a crazy design space we've never seen them play in before in that exact way. Obviously, we've played with objective numbers, like doubling what you count as in the Zinch book, or the ogres counting with their might makes right thing or whatever. But yeah. And to answer a question in the chat, Autumn Lotus, no, the Varangard heroes can only take these artifacts, not realm artifacts. It specifically calls out those command traits or artifacts of power listed opposite. That's it. No,
but you could have like 3 items or like 2 items on a unit of 3, right?
Could you have?
Or does
assuming like they are a hero?
Yeah.
Like so the whole
is a
the
hero.
unit is a hero. So then does like so here's the next question. Like if I take a sword, like they have a sword artifact, right? Like choose a weapon.
What are their artifacts? No, they don't. They have but they do have an armor.
So it would apply to all of their saves.
Correct. Yeah. Well, yes, it doesn't. It's not what it does. I'll talk about it because it's actually super hot. Yeah. It is super hot.
Go ahead.
Okay. Command traits. I'm going to talk about the ones I think matter. Inescapable Doom. Any units within 3 inches of this general cannot retreat. So you can have like a 6-pack of Varangard or anything, by the way. It doesn't like you have to be Varangard because this is like... Oh, sorry. This one is Varangard. The command traits are Knights, the Empty Throne, Varangard, Generals only. So this is only Varangard. If you can have a 6-pack of them, counting as heroes, enemy units within 3 inches of this general cannot retreat. So, pretty good. Because you can make it so people can't escape your Varangard. And then you would combo that with Grasping Plate. The unit bearing this artifact is eligible to fight in the combat phase if it is within 6 inches of an enemy unit instead of 3 inches, and it can move an extra 3 inches when it piles in.
That's always nice. Good. Always nice. Get that run and pile in.
Yep. You can run, you can pile in, you can retreat and pile. You can retreat, they can't. Like, it is... it's pretty good. And Chris, the answer is, as far as we know, yes, as Tom pointed out, this would just replace, like, your Despoilers or whatever. You would have this as your Despoilers or Ravagers or Kabbalists or Host of the Everchosen. This is your new thing. You still get the rest of the Slaves to Darkness thing.
So
again, they did say they'll
project your auras. You'll still project your auras.
Yes. Which means that however those Varangard are, working, they'll do that since they're a hero now. So that's cool.
Well, they're your general.
Yeah, sure. They can be your general, yes. So there you go. I mean, to me, that's the picks for command traits and artifacts. But it's a neat way to play a bunch of Varangard and make them interesting. I don't know what else to say. I guess if you love the all Varangard army, basically, you don't have to actually. You could have like 6 Varangard and a whole bunch of other stuff. But it's kind of cool. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's fun, and it's an interesting mechanic, making a unit that's normally not a hero.
Yeah,
it's like I get to give my unit an item, which is like a space they haven't really played in much before.
Is that the first time we've seen this? Making a unit
a hero?
Yeah, changing.
So.
Yeah, because we've made units like obviously wizards for a long time, but I can't think of any unit that was a hero.
We have Jack has 3 Varangard. And he wanted to paint one, and then he wanted Shu to paint another, and then he wanted me to paint one. And they haven't been on the channel because all but one isn't painted.
Guess
Can you guess?
Painted?
Can you guess which one has painted their Varangard? I guess it's like even if I do finally finish that Varangard, when I finish that Varangard,
there we go.
I'm even wondering, I don't know. Still doesn't seem like enough of a reason to try out this Legions. Like if you only have 3 of them, but
well,
maybe at least
I'll say this:
a unit of heroes running around.
So this is what I want to do with this. Like hearing this, reflecting on this, I want to do the all-mounted Chaos Army.
Sure.
Because you could do like 2 units of Varangard, a Karkadrak, because this is a normal army, right?
Yeah.
So 2 units of Varangard, a Karkadrak. And then, like, you could even do, like, a Harbinger of Decay ally, maybe? Right?
Who can people ally with? Oh, this is Slaves of Darkness, right?
Slaves, yeah, slaves. This is all slaves, right. So you're bringing in, like, Nurgle. And then you do Chaos Knights as your battle line.
Sure. Well, like, it's a really interesting concept to make the Varangard. Like, I love the idea of probably a sixer of the Varangard heroes, or of a Varangard hero pack, like Khorne in Khorne, right? And having regular Chaos Knights with them, and like the Lord on Karkadrak or something like that. Like, that is a scary charge. This is probably the closest to this sort of Steel Legion that I wanted.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're right. You can, like, because now that big sixer of Varangard is broadcasting this 12-inch bubble around them of the general's Khorne aura, right? Which is what I ultimately want. So I can get multiple other Chaos Knight units and the Lord on Karkadrak and all that kind of stuff into their very big bubble, because I can spread the 6 of them out real far and like broadcast a massive bubble, right?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
Can the Legion of Chaos Ascendant ally with anybody? No, there's not really any rules, is there? It's kind of like Lethis can't really ally with anybody either.
Yeah. I think why do you need to ally? You're all Chaos Demons. Who needs allies?
You got the Harbinger of Decay, you can bring some mortals in from the buff.
There you go. You just got to find the ones that are the other ones that are all mortals and demons. So Archeon can come on in. He's good. He'll get the 5 up, 5 up, 5 up.
Yeah.
You could bring in
or 5 up. Sorry.
You could bring in the plus Glow Blight Lords.
Oh yeah, the demon keeper.
They're demon mortals. And they could gain, so they'd be up like a 4 up, 5 up, 5 up, 5 up.
Now you're talking my language. Yeah.
Never done.
Just when you sit down to the table and you just have a real death threat to the other player, I'm going to annoy you to death.
I'm gonna buzz you.
Yeah, I mean, I think at that point you can just literally like plant 4 or 6 of those big flies into their army and just be like, all right, well, I guess try to kill that now.
Well,
like,
no, but you're gonna run the Be'lakor Legion and just return a D3 of them every turn too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, good luck with that. You're never like, bye. Like, just enjoy
like
your
4 of them will never
time
be
in
removed.
your starting zone. You're just no,
well,
because
if you did,
Be'lakor,
like,
they're not plague bearers. Those Blight Lords aren't plague bearers.
Oh yeah,
The plus goes aren't them.
So you'd have to do drones.
Which
That's unfortunate.
don't have mortal, so they can't get the other bonus.
Yeah.
You don't need it. You don't need it. It's fine. All right, gentlemen. So that's the big allegiances. We ready to talk some sub-allegiances, some new chambers for everybody? Everybody getting some hot. Let's get nuts. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. All right. So, Khorne time. Khorne gets 2.
2, yep.
2.
Khorne's fine.
The Flayed and the Baleful Lords. The Flayed obviously being more of the mortal-based one. The Baleful Lords being the Bloodthirster-based one. Yeah. Very quickly, I'll give them a rundown here. I don't even want to talk about their ability because it's so insane. But here we go. I will anyways. At the end of the combat phase, if any enemy heroes or monsters were slain by attacks made by a friendly Flayed mortal unit in that phase, you can add 1 to save rolls for attacks that target that unit for the rest of the battle. They can only benefit from this once per battle. Okay. So, once per game, if one of your mortal units in the combat phase kills a hero or a monster, they get +1 to save for the rest of the game.
You've lost me already.
Okay. Got it. Got it on that. Command ability. Wrath Speaker. You can use this command ability at the start of the combat phase. If you do so, pick 1 friendly Flayed mortal unit wholly within 12. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by melee weapons with that unit if they made a charge move in the same turn. Okay. Your Vessel of Butchery, you can reroll prayer rolls of 1 for friendly Flayed priests wholly within 8 inches of this general. Okay. I mean, cool. Like, I like Gore Pilgrims too. It's pretty good. You're already rerolling, so I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And your artifact is the Slaughter Helm. Add 2 to charge rolls for the bearer.
Okay.
Okay.
I like the, if you kill something, you can +1 to your save. Say you take Archeon, run him around, and he kills a hero, which he's very capable, or a monster very capable of doing. He has 2 up save for the rest of the game.
Oof. Didn't think about that.
Yeah. Because it's immortal.
Yeah, he could be a Flayed mortal, yes.
What are they afraid of by making it? Oh, you just get a +1 for the rest of the game, and then this whole thing just goes away. Like, it could have just been every time they ice a hero. Come on, there's only like 6 of those on the board at max.
You want a -4 save?
Sure, man. Just go merc heroes, and if you're dumb enough to get your heroes merked,
I feel
like Shu is,
the Vessel of Butchery is kind of redundant because you're going to be
Right.
rerolling your saves. Well, I guess you can leave the protection of the Skull Altar now.
Mhm.
I think it's supposed to be because the other ones are good, so they have to have some that are like not so good.
Sure, as per usual. That's always
Be
like
great attacks.
Yeah.
I like the ability just because like Khorne is rewarded for killing things.
Mhm.
That
Sure.
Khorne being more, I don't know. Khorne needs some more thematic rules. I feel like they've struggled with that. And
Yeah.
I feel like
But shouldn't
This
it
is
be
a good-
damage or rend or something like that? Not like Khorne
Save.
wants blood, man. He doesn't
Oh,
want
right,
to
like
save
you
to
get
go up.
yeah,
Congratulations, your blood
Now-
numbers are now a 6.
When if you kill a unit, like this is what it should be. If you kill a unit, you get to pile in at the end of the combat phase.
Yeah.
And so what it means is that like if you like it incentivizes units to get into combat with multiple units simultaneously. And if they murder one unit,
then
then
they get to
they
fight
get to-
again.
then they get to fight again onto the other unit.
Yeah, and it'd be at the end of the phase, so it's very fair.
Yep.
Right. 'Cause
It's
they have to
it's
still
not like
survive.
it right.
Yep.
Yeah, they still have to survive the fight. Yeah, like that would be the easy way to design towards that.
Yeah. So the point is, this is the less interesting Khorne one. Now let's talk about the interesting
Yeah,
Khorne.
there we go. Yay!
All right, the Baleful Lords. Friendly Baleful Lords Bloodthirsters can run and still charge, and you can have 5 of them as long as all your behemoths are Bloodthirsters. So
Sounds
5
great.
running and charging Bloodthirsters. Super
Which is-
cool.
Which is,
Frenzied Annihilator, your command ability. You can use this command ability in the combat phase. If you do so, pick one friendly Baleful Lord's Bloodthirster. Until the end of that phase, when you look up the value on that model's damage table, it's treated as though it suffered 0 wounds. Okay, cool. So you can, basically it has the, boulder head thing where you can push people back up to 0. The trick with this one is it's only in the combat phase, so you can't use it for, like, movement or anything like that, like you can with theirs.
Yeah, but the exploding axe is going to stay at like 6 mortals.
Yeah, I mean, like
forever.
all the good things go way back up. Yes, it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's not as versatile as the other one, as the Beastclaw Raider one.
Mhm.
Your command trait: add 1 to charge rolls for friendly Baleful Lords Bloodthirsters within 8 inches of the general, just within, not wholly within. So thank God you don't have to try to fit all those bases in a weird bubble. And so because you can run and charge and get +1 to charge now, so why not? I'm sure Captain Whippy Pants is around somewhere. Fatty McWhips. So he's probably adding on to that number too. We've just got these guys sailing across the table.
Bloodstoker?
Bloodstoker, yes.
the Bloodstoker only works on mortals.
Oh, is he only mortals now?
Yeah,
They changed him.
Oh, darn.
but you get to reroll your wound rolls for the mortals. So
Yeah.
he's
Wound
good
rolls
with
are 1, right?
I like Arcanum, by the way.
Yeah.
All right. And then your artifact is add 1 to save rolls for attacks that target the bearer. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
This is like out of the two, if you're going to compare them, I prefer this one's like, I think, because Khorne
Competitive.
lost that run and charge from the first book in last edition. And you realize when you're playing them or you're playing against them, they're pretty slow. And you're like, now being able to run and charge with a Bloodthirster really helps. Teaming this with Tyrants of Blood. So you have 5 Bloodthirsters, and as soon as one fights, then they all get to fight. So if you can't bunch in there, it behooves you, and that's really great. Say you are fighting against Slanesh or something, he makes one Bloodthirster attack last, but
The rest of them get to go.
Triggered with Tyrants of Blood, he's going to get to attack first.
Is this what you did to Josh?
Don't-
This is the next bat rat. Yeah, this is I don't know. I kind of feel like they missed an opportunity here to let you take all the greater demons, and just for hey, Knights players, come play.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the giant army's for, man. That's coming in a
Yeah,
month.
yeah.
As soon as we get to these lizard men, we're good.
Hey, circling back real quick, you mentioned the giant thing. You still have the image up for the thing. It is that image is from the 80s. It does remind me of the demon from Big Trouble in Little China, the one that's still
Oh,
crushed.
sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
And I'm
absolutely-
like, I know this face. So sorry, it just reminded me.
So you're saying GW brought that property, and now we're going to get Big Trouble Little China games.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Hey, I will name every wizard
That's a
I have
licensed product I can get behind.
David Lopan.
So And somebody asked in the comments, like, are these abilities going to be tournament? Are these things tournament viable? I mean, they're usable in tournaments. They're
Sure.
perfectly legal match play rules.
That's one thing.
It
like,
depends on the TO.
Yeah.
And also, like, how good are they? That's a totally different,
Mhm.
thing. The Baleful Lord's interesting. I mean, this plus the Council of Blood or whatever it is, yes, as you pointed out, is like, that's, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Seems
Yeah,
great.
like what I would say is this: none of these abilities are going to break the meta, but I think that there are some in some builds that will give an edge to some of the lesser known or lesser. Like I think it'll like Korn might be bumped up a little bit, Nurgle might be bumped up a little bit, so it sharpens the edge on those lists without actually like breaking them.
No, I agree. This is a huge help to, like, I think Nurgle gets a huge bump out of this book, and rightly so. It needed it. Then we move on to Tzeentch. Oh, anything else to say about the Bloodthirster one, gentlemen, before we move on to Tzeentch?
It's a lot of
It's
fun.
nice.
List will beat someone.
Yeah, when 5 Bloodthirsters hit your line at the top of one, I hope you know how to screen, because that's what's happening in this army.
Feed them garbage until you can attack.
Yeah, and I really like, because Bloodthirsters do die fast, and the ability to fight at the top of your damage chart is really nice.
Yep.
It makes me miss toughness, though, I have to admit. All right,
Nothing
so-
ever makes me miss toughness. Because I don't miss needing garbage numbers to wound. Okay, so at any rate, both of the Tzeentch ones are bad. Can I just start there and sum them up like that?
Yeah, that's fine. They have enough good ones.
Right.
Yeah,
Like, and I couldn't be happier about that.
If you want to handicap yourself by playing Tzeentch, take one of these.
Yeah, if you think your army is too powerful, take a whack at this.
Cult of 1,000 Eyes is for you.
Yeah, like I could go into them a little, but honestly, it's not worth a huge amount of exploration. They're both whatever. Like I don't know where the world is where you want to play either of these over even some of the lesser ones in the Tzeentch book.
Like even my narrative brain doesn't like start moving looking at either of these either. Because it's like oddly specific things like negating an enemy unit's cover save.
Right.
And that's supposed to represent that, it's like eyes everywhere, that they have spies everywhere. So like I don't even know how that translates. Like somebody's like hiding in the forest with them. What?
Watch out, Ideneth. Here they come.
They're going to tell you
Yeah, it's
where your flamers need to target.
Yeah.
So,
super exciting.
Although that one's only mortal units too. The one that removes cover is only mortal units.
Oh boy.
All right. So yeah, they're both bad. Enough said.
yeah.
Let's get to the. I mean, seriously, that's
Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
right on. Now
Keep
let's
going.
talk about some good stuff, which is the Nurgle, because boy,
Yeah.
oh boy, is there a lot to unpack in Nurgle. Yeah, a lot. Each of these have interesting elements to them.
Yep.
Okay, Munificent Wanderers. While an enemy unit is within 3 inches of any friendly Munificent Wanderer's demon unit, worsen the rend characteristic of that unit's melee weapons by 1 to a minimum of dash. Right?
Yep.
Nurgle units are unaffected by this ability. And by the way, a lot of these things don't work in the mirror match. Right? So just something to be aware of. Like if you go Nurgle on Nurgle, most of these things just shut off.
That's been the case for every Nurgle ability forever, though. So
Totally.
Yeah.
yeah,
true.
co-buffing, like your Blight Kings can squirt over and heal the other guy. They laugh about it.
Good one.
But that is a
Appreciate you.
super good ability. Like worsening everybody's rend by 1 is slightly worse than +1 armor save to your whole army, right? So we're just slightly below Petrifex here, starting off on the base ability.
Yep.
Right?
We're
Now-
still okay.
Still okay. Again, it's only daemon units, right? But
Don't
still,
hate
plague bearers are pretty decent tar pits.
Right. They
the-
just got better.
Sure, like your blight lords and your plague drones and stuff, all those, anything like that, right? Okay, great.
And also,
Your greater demons and everything like that too.
yeah, and also your Puscoils.
Okay, your command ability is Infested with Wonders. You can use this command ability in your hero phase. If you do, pick one friendly Munificent Wanderer's demon unit wholly within 14 inches of your hero until the start of your next hero phase. If an enemy unit ends A charge move within 3 inches of that unit, that enemy suffers D3 mortal wounds. A unit cannot benefit from this command ability more than once per turn.
Okay. I'm going to clarify for our listeners. He did not say infested with wanderers. So it's not that there's like Glade Guard like hanging out in the midst of the Nurgle.
Sure.
But wonders.
Yeah. So a nice little kickback command ability thing. I find interesting, there's some interesting overlap here with like the even modified Nurgle Demon Prince command ability and Plague Touched. And well, Plague Touch is back because that doesn't work because those are all mortal units. But anyways, things that the Demon Prince ability where you can actually start kicking back like a decent-ish number of mortal wounds just for fighting your units. It can start to become annoying.
A bunch of command points. Like that's the problem.
It's totally true. It's totally true. I don't disagree. You got to find a way to get those.
I already ran the numbers and I was like, oh.
Yeah, sure. One last gift is your command trait. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with a melee weapon that targets a friendly Munificent Wanderer's demon unit wholly within 12 of this general is a 6. The attacking unit suffers 1 mortal wound after all of its attacks have been resolved. So yet again, more chip damage back, which I like. And then the artifact is Muck Talon. Pick one of the bearer's melee weapons, add 1 to hit rolls. For attacks made with that weapon, if the target is a hero...
I love that.
Muck Talon.
Muck Talon.
Cool name. Bad artifact, but cool name.
It's the Muck Talon.
So what do you think about these guys, gentlemen? What's everybody think about the Munificent Wanderers?
Well, I just love the fact that they can squirt onto you when you hit them. You know, you crit your pants and get wounds back. That's awesome.
I think Infested with Wonders is fun as like, yeah, maybe it's not worth a command point, but if you've got an extra one and it's in your pocket, maybe there's going to be that clutch like charging, you know, somebody charging something else. Maybe it's only a hero with a couple wounds left, and you kill them that way. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
some
I mean,
situational narrative stuff there. That's really colorful.
If it happens, you will remember it and you will laugh about it for
a long time.
For a long time.
Is it is there an item that Nurgle has that makes you reroll hit rolls of 6 or wound rolls of 6?
Hit.
It's wound. The thing on the table is wound rolls of 6.
Okay, so we wouldn't. This command trait wouldn't make that.
Yeah, you're talking about the cycle of corruption ability.
Yeah.
No. The Wither Stave is for demons, and it's hit rolls of 6.
Yes, but the cycle of corruption is wound rolls of 6.
Yeah. So if you have Wither Stave and this one last gift, you'd be re-rolling that 6, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah. Don't. That's it. We call that a non-bow in the business, right there. All right.
Yeah. I mean, what I would say is this: like, I see this and I'm like, I don't know. Taliban could probably benefit from this.
Sure.
Like, right? Because Taliban is going to be, you know, like a Guo, probably multiple Guos, and a bunch of Plague Bearers and drones. And I look down the list on this, and I go, yeah, sure.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, reducing rend on all of that stuff makes it even worse.
Sure. I mean, it really makes it so these units get stuck in hard. Like, it's hard to remove these things. I agree.
Like in pure Nurgle. Yeah.
All right. Gentlemen, we're ready to move to the Droning Guard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Quicks are open.
So same exact general ability for the Droning Guard. When you're within 3 inches of a Droning Guard demon unit, worsen the rend characteristic by 1. Okay, cool. So fine there.
You have my attention.
Right. Good. Again, we're slightly below Petrifex, so good start. Now we get to the broken command ability that needs an FAQ. Let me read it. Yes, you can use this command ability in the combat phase. If you do so, pick one friendly Droning Guard Plague Drones unit, wholly within 12 inches of a friendly Droning Guard Demon hero unit, with this command ability. Until the end of that phase, add 1 to disgustingly resilient rolls made for that unit. You'll notice they left off the text that says...
Bitch, I got a pocket full of command points to spend.
Yeah, now you've got command points to spend. Because, yes, you could just push your disgustingly resilient to a 1-up.
And you're like, boom, immune to damage.
Yes.
Come on, witch elves.
Now, as far as the first sentence, isn't this like Petrifex being kind of confusing, where it's just saying you can use this command ability in the combat phase? So, like, when do you do that?
That's a great question. I will tell you when. You ready?
That's not the start.
No, I'll tell you. Yeah, I'll tell you exactly when you do it. You ready? Here's when you do it. You got 3 command points. Let's just chart that out, okay? Brent, you've got 3 command points, and it's the combat phase, and your unit of plague drones has been attacked. And after your regular save, 12 saves got through, or 12 damage got through. Okay? You're going to grab your 12 dice. You're going to roll your 12 dice. And you're going to see how many of those are 5s and 6s. Okay?
Yep.
And then you're going to see how many of them are 4s, and how many of them are 3s, and how many of them are 2s. And you're going to do some math real quick. And you're going to figure out how many of those command points you need to spend to basically make no damage happen. If you tended to roll a lot of 4s, you're going to burn 1, and now suddenly it's 4.
I think with this, you definitely want to take the Aether Quartz brooch just so you can get to more command points, just in case.
Because if this doesn't get FAQ'd, keep in mind there's no stack in this game, right? Like that's not a thing. So like when it just says you can use it generally, you can just use it generally. I can interrupt the sort of damage resolution step that's happening there.
That happened to me at LVO. Someone's like, "Oh, I made 2 saves. I'm Petrifex. I'm gonna improve my Ren by 1. Now you failed 2 saves."
Yep.
But like, I already made them.
Jack was texting me. He's like, "Can you do this?" And I was like,
I already made the save. Now we're getting in a DeLorean, going back in time before I made the saves.
Yeah.
They twist the knife a little more.
You made the roll.
Yeah.
You made the roll. They just determined whether those rolls were successful or not.
Like he sticks you with the blade, and then like you have a moment to like heat it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, be on my side.
I'm just saying that's the only way to justify.
The lore master has spoken.
There you go. So this one's that's a really powerful ability that needs an FAQ to say a unit may not benefit from this more than once per round. So let's just go ahead and slap that on there. Thank you, and we can move on.
But what if they did?
But what if it doesn't? That's the real question. I'm like, go on.
Then make sure you get an Aether Quartz brooch. You better find a battalion real fast so you can get that Aether Quartz brooch. Your command trait is also real good. It's real good. After armies have been set up, but before the first battle round begins, friendly droning guard plague drones can move up to 4 inches. Awesome.
Yeah, that is pretty good.
Pre-game moves, always A+. And then your artifact is subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons that target the bearer. Again, okay.
So your Guo is now harder to kill. Got it.
Yeah, sure, or whatever. I mean, it's fine. It's not bad. It's not a super bad artifact. It's just not great. It's whatever. It's fine. I enjoy this bad Griff Feather Charm. Thank you.
There's already quite a few -1 to hit factors to bear in here, right? Because we're talking about demons.
Sure.
So this is just one more.
Just one more. As I said, it's not bad. It's just not like, oh yay! It's not the reason you take this one, right? Like,
I don't know. When you're talking about a D6 game, -2 is a lot.
It is a lot. I do not disagree with that math. I've had some scientists check the numbers, and you are correct.
No, I mean Vince's point here is that it's melee only, and there's no additional effect. And so it's lackluster compared to like a Griff Feather Charm, which is -1 universal in melee and shooting and +1 move.
But you can't have the Griff Feather Charm and Aether Quartz brooch.
That's right.
It's true. It's true.
Which one did you play when you played against him, Jack? Was it Droning Guard or?
I think he took the Drowning Men. Is that?
Oh, okay. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
This whole army is themed after the Drowning Men. So
right. So yeah, I mean I like this one a lot. I love plague drones. I think they're a cool unit. I think the demon fly dudes are super cool.
Yeah.
So this actually makes really good use of them between their ability to bump that after save to pre-game move, like worsening renge, they stay alive. This is doing everything I want.
This is the better. By the way, to clarify, this is the better Taliban of Nurgle.
yeah,
Like the other one was functional. This is the better one.
Yeah.
this is the kind of thing you take if you're doing duos and you have another army that can bring synergy. This is kind of a debuffer, and you can play off your partner pretty well.
Yeah,
It's a very good anvil. It's a very just a wonderful anvil army, and then you team with like a corn, player or something like that that can just blender everything. Yeah.
Nurgles did.
All right. Are we ready to talk about the Blessed Sons and the Drowned Men?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, the Blessed Sons, excuse me, didn't mean to cough there. The Blessed Sons are, so this stuff is more Rotbringer focused, by the way, just so we all understand that here. The first one was Demon, this one's Rotbringer. Roll a dice each time a friendly Blessed Sun's Rotbringer model is slain in the combat phase. On a 2+, they suffer 1 mortal
Boo.
wound. Okay.
Sorry. You
No, it's
feel
fine.
real lame if you roll that 1.
Sure. It's okay. Like it's some paprika on top, right? Like it's a little bit of spice. It's not making the meal. I think we all agree with that, right? Like, yay,
Like-
my Blight Kings do that.
No, yeah, but like it's shit. Like, let's just be honest here.
I
Like,
said
this
it's
is
a little bit
terrible.
of spice on top. It doesn't do much. When you look at the average army, you're going to get, if all of your guys died, you get in a very focused on this army, you get 20 to 30 mortal wounds out of this total over the course of the game.
But do
a little bit
you?
less.
Yeah, I say because these are all like multi-wound models. Like you're not
Yeah,
going
shit.
to
I'm
do
saying
mass,
if you've got
and-
20 or 30 Blight Kings,
it's combat phase only.
sure, a fair point. You're absolutely right. So it's not even. I'm assuming a melee fight with them, but you're right.
Right. Like that never triggers against KO.
Sure.
That probably never triggers against Zinch.
Yes. Agreed. But let's move on because there are other interesting
Sure.
things going on in both of these.
Sure.
By the way, the drowned men have the same ability. I agree. It's not good. Like it's, as I said, it's at best a little bit of flavor, is what I'm trying to point out.
Yeah.
That being said, I don't think that these are bad. So the command trait for the Blessed Suns is once per turn you can use at the double on a friendly Blessed Suns Rotbringer unit within 12 of this general without spending any command points. Only within, not wholly within. And being able to just say you run 6 for free in an army that has lots of run and charge.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, dig that. I dig that a lot. Their command ability is you can use this command ability at the start of the combat phase. If you do so, pick one friendly Blessed Suns Rotbringer unit wholly within 14 inches of your hero. Then at the end of that phase, pick one enemy unit that has suffered any wounds or mortal wounds inflicted by that unit in that phase. If the combined number of those wounds and mortal wounds is greater than the bravery characteristic of that enemy unit suffers 3 additional mortal wounds. Holy crap, I hate this command ability.
So get the hell out of here. Like,
Yeah.
Not me, I got it. Can you
Shuno
explain it?
understand. Shu needs like, yeah. If you have seen a gyrocopter on the morning of a summer eve,
I like when I've got to get out my abacus to track my command ability, right? Yeah, this is just like the most bonkers ability. Why? Why
This
any
is-
of that text?
this is the type of ability where you go back and rewrite it.
Right, exactly. I just no. I would have notes on this one. If this came to me and I was like the editor, I would there would be a postie in the file. This would be commented just like, please change all text.
here's the crazy thing. Like, I mean, just to consider what happens in the rules team. Like these rules are translated to like what 25 languages.
Something like that, yeah.
So like in the big picture here, like they got to be kind of specific in the wording of these things. Otherwise, the Loke people are not going to understand how to change it. So, I mean, we're lucky we're not getting technical documents at this point, but this is close.
I love how it's so many steps to do 3 mortal wounds.
Right?
It's so much math and complexity and mental memory you have to use. Why? Why all of that? Also, the artifact's bad too. Okay, great. So the Drowned Men has the same ability the Nurgle's Embrace. Their command trait is you can reroll charge rolls for friendly Drowned Men Puscoil Blightlord units wholly within 14 inches of the general. So, okay, cool. Don't need to spend command points to do that. Just everybody's doing it in a big radius around him on all the time. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Their command ability is you can use this command ability at the start of the combat phase. If you do so, pick one friendly Drowned Men Puscoil Blightlords unit wholly within 12 of the hero until your next hero phase. If the unmodified wound roll for an attack made with that unit's blighted weapons is 6, improve the rend characteristic for that attack by 1.
Oh,
Do they normally rend nothing?
Yes, for the Puscoil Blightlords, yes, they're rend nothing.
yeah, but now you have to track like how many dice are
Right.
different save values. So then like, okay, these 8 are hits, these 6 are are these 8 are like wounds and need armor saves. These 6 though, you need to roll separately because they have Ren 1 on them. Like I hate it. I hate it.
I hate it. I sent an email to these guys after playing the old Plague Monk War Scroll, and I said I just had the most joyless experience of my life. This is cranking the heat up.
Do we think this should just be they get rend?
Yes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's like roll dice on 5, you do a mortal wound. Let's just keep going.
Sure, like it should just be pick a unit of Puscoil Blight Lords. Their rend increases by 1 for that combat phase. For one phase. For a command point.
Right.
Like, come on.
Right, and that wouldn't break anything. They're Puscoil Blight Lords, and it's not even all of their attacks.
Right, it's just their blighted weapons. Yeah, they have 4 weapon profiles.
It's just their I'm
not talking about rending foul mouth parts. You know, I'm not talking about rending venom stingers. No.
Yeah. If you have witnessed a proboscis in real life.
Or if you play against certain people, foul mouth parts and proboscis, because they don't read the war scroll.
Yeah. I would be fine with a... By the way, the other thing that they should throw on this, which they've done in this book multiple times, is say you can't use this command ability more than once per phase.
Right.
So just do that. Like this, you just put the super limit on it, right? Like they get neg 1 rend, you can't use this command ability more than once per phase. Cool. 1 unit of Puscoil Blight Lords can get rend, can increase their rend by 1 of one of their weapon profiles.
Did we mention?
Feels like a very worthwhile command point.
Did we mention it's Puscoil Blight Lords?
Right. Which are like not known for being the best unit ever, but they're cool. Like I like them.
They're awesome.
Like this is like let's dial in on this. Petrifex just does this with all units.
Sure, like all the time.
For like
an command point.
For a less than command point expenditure.
Harrison is the thief of joy.
I like yeah.
You know what makes up this is if the next artifact was add 7 wounds.
Sure. Whoa, hey, all right. Yeah, I'm back in. I'm back in. Double the wounds characteristic of this hero. All right. Hello.
Yeah. One probably not enough.
This is probably why I beat Doug top of turn 1.
All right. So we ready to finish this out? Let's talk about Slaanesh, shall we?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
In 4.
Then we'll do some narrative. All right. So each of the Slaanesh like hosts, there you go, that's the word I was looking for, has 1 subfaction they can take. This is more upgradey than the other ones because you still get to be invaders, pretenders, or godseekers.
It was like a subfaction of a subfaction. So
effectively. But you're still paying an opportunity cost because normally like Godseekers doesn't set your artifact or your command trait or stuff like that. And by the way, that is a real cost because every one of those every one of those things relies pretty heavily on like their command trait and on artifact selection. Now, Slaanesh has decent battalions, so you usually have 2 artifact choices, but it matters for the command trait thing. There are some of those that really run on their command trait. Okay.
Pretenders is the one where you can have 2 command traits. Does it take both slots, or you can still take one of the old ones?
Such a great question. But no, you get this and the other one.
Yeah.
Of course you do.
Yeah. So for the pretenders, yeah, we'll talk about that in a moment. Okay. By the way, I'm running one of these this weekend. So I'm running the first one here, the Lurid Haze. So the Lurid Haze is for invaders. And I love this one almost top to bottom. So, Billowing Mists. After setup is complete, but before the first battle round begins, you can remove D3 friendly Lurid Haze invaders host units from the battlefield and put them back in ambush. If you do so at the end of your first movement phase, you set them up on the battlefield wholly within 6 inches of the edge of the battlefield, more than 9 inches from enemy units.
That's going to be so good at Holy Wars this weekend.
You're absolutely right it is, brother. You're absolutely right it is.
It's so filthy. You're a cheater.
I can't One of the problems is I don't think I can legitimately take Archeon off the table with it because he's
Sure.
on the big base, which is technically like 6.0 whatever 8 inches or whatever.
They set up
Yeah, so
meeting engagements for you to deploy off the table partially just to be within their confines. So
Right.
this
Yeah.
is a standard, man.
Yeah, exactly. It's unfortunate. I want to take Archeon off and then have him come roaring back on from the side, but I think by hard definition he can't because he's bigger than 6 inches.
I also think I'm not deploying my model half off the table. Thank you, GW.
Yeah.
Also, similar to Alariel in Living Cities, where her base
Yeah.
is that one as well.
That being said, anytime somebody's ever asked me, can I do that with Alariel in Living Cities, I'm like, yeah, of course, because, yeah, it's fine. It's Alariel.
Because it's awesome. Yeah.
Because it's awesome. I
Yeah.
want to see her come screaming in from the side, throwing that spear, turning people into woods. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. And then she's going to die miserably because
you
her.
get a chance to kill her before she can summon.
Yeah.
All right, so your command trait is you can reroll run rolls for friendly Lurid Haze invaders host units wholly within 12 of the general. Cool. I like that. You run a lot in Slaanesh, so obviously that's quite useful. And I like not spending command points to run farther. That's good. Your command ability, you can use this command ability once per turn in the combat phase. If you do so, pick one friendly Lurid Haze invaders host unit within 12 inches of the hero. Add 1 to save rolls for attacks that target that unit. The same unit cannot benefit from this command ability more than once per turn.
Dang it.
Yep.
I was hoping you have
Yeah.
They remembered that part.
You almost turned Jack into a human fire hydrant.
No, I'm super excited about this one because you know what I like? Archeon using this on himself.
Yeah.
Because +1 to save is real good. It's real good.
really?
It's real good, yeah. Turns out. Again, I had a
Weird.
team of scientists working on this for quite a while, and they did come back with some quite compelling research. I'll link you to the paper. And then your artifact is just somebody gets +1 wound. Okay, who cares? Dumb. That's getting thrown to the Fane top of 1, so it doesn't really matter. Like, just, that's getting burned up. That's fine. Yeah, I like this one. Thoughts? Any additional thoughts, gentlemen?
You know, any sort of, I'm not going to say the S word, but any movement malarkey where you can like make people like, oh no, especially when you put a unit on the table, then pick it up, like
Yeah.
kidding. It's like, and now
Yeah.
people have to watch like, oh, you know, I have to make sure I put enough bodies so he can't, you know, sneak behind me and charge my good stuff. You know, you have to chaff up, and so anything like that, anything where you have movement malarkey, it's good.
We
I
like
agree.
cheating.
I like movement malarkey a lot, so yes. And like absolutely I plan to like put a unit out somewhere as bait. And then just be like, nope, kidding. And just like, you know, somebody sets up against it and then you just pull it back off the table and it was a joke. All right. Faultless Blades. This is the Pretenders one.
Yep.
Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by friendly Faultless Blade Pretenders host units that target a hero. If you also made a charge move, like, okay, sure. So I have to charge heroes and I get +1 to hit. All right, fair enough. It's fine. I mean, I don't hate that, but okay.
Sure.
So with keep it a secret hitting on 2 with those claws.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you should always be re-rolling anyways, but yes. Yes, it's good. I'm not going to hate that. The command ability, you can use this command ability once per turn in the combat phase. If you do so, pick one friendly Faultless Blades Pretenders host unit, wholly within 12 of the hero. The first 2 wounds allocated to that unit in the phase are negated.
Ooh,
Is that good though? Because you're not generating
Oh,
depravity.
Depravity, sure.
good.
The answer is yes, it's good on units that don't generate depravity anyways.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Also,
a
like,
Daemonette unit.
also in the end, you do want to like, you do
Control
want to keep your
damage
keeper
incoming.
alive. Like, you get more depravity out of beating other people into paste than you know just losing your own wounds, right? But sure.
Sure.
Your command trait is friendly Faultless Blades Pretenders host units that start a pile-in move wholly within 12 of this general can move an extra 3 inches when they pile in. Oh, lordy, that's real good.
It's
because
good, but it doesn't say that you're in the combat So you're still out of combat if you're more than 3 inches away.
That is true, unless you happen to also be in, let's say, Seeker Cavalcade, where your Seeker Chariots and Seekers and Hellstriders can all pile in 6 inches and fight from 6 inches. So now you can be 6 inches out and then dive 9 inches in.
That is really good.
So, yes, you can't be 9 inches away, sadly, and still get it. You're right. Like, that's unfortunate. That would be truly amazing.
Now, Vince, would you be running your chariots and units?
I mean, outside of the one Be'lakor First Prince army, no, single chariots always only.
Okay. The thing I run into there is like you have 2 chariots, an enemy over here that's not even close to being engaged, and an enemy they're close to, but this guy happens to be closer to this dude over here, so they have and then stop.
Right.
Yeah.
Then they gotta like Tokyo drift it sideways, so that way they're still within an inch of each other, and they're just Yep.
I just call that pile and jank.
Sure.
So you must have this command trait in addition to any others. So that's one other command trait.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, because pretenders host generals get 2 command traits. Yep. So you'll have that plus something else. And then your artifact is pick one of the bearer's melee weapons, add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made with that weapon that target a hero. Which is interesting because you're getting +1 to hit. So like I will say this. You can manufacture with this with Faultless Blades, you can manufacture a absolute nightmare murderer of a keeper, right? Because when she goes in on heroes, she can be like +1 to hit, +1 to wound. She piles in 6 inches so she can sweep way around, right? She can be fighting twice as well. And Pretenders has other, you can double stack command traits, so she can be doing the Strength of Godhood, where she then triggers the extra D3 punch with all that. And those claws hitting on 2s, rerolling, wounding on 2s is it's good.
That'll work.
It's good.
Pretty good. I like it.
Nah.
The problem is she still made a paper and will just a KO ship will laugh at you and just explode you off the table before you ever did anything worth a darn. All right, and then lastly, the Scarlet Cavalcade. All right, so this is for Godseekers, obviously. At the start, all right, I'm gonna read this. Here we go.
We can do this. Go on.
At the start of your charge phase, if 2 friendly Scarlet Cavalcade Godseekers host units that each have 10 or more models are within 6 inches of each other, you can make 1 charge roll to determine the charge distance for both units in that phase.
When do you make this decision?
The start of your charge phase.
Before you make the army.
First of all, the number of units in your average Slanesh army that number in 10 or more in an army I've ran is 0.
Should be 0.
I've never had a unit of 10 or more, period,
Okay,
in an army.
So it should say 2 Demonette units have a chance to share a charge roll.
Yeah. 2 Daemonette units or 10 or more Seekers if you're insane. For you madman, you singular madman out there.
It doesn't say hedonite keyword, so you can have some marauders, I guess.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah, it could be, exactly. It would be the real play here is, yes, you would do Seekers or God Seekers or something like that. You'd mark Marauder Slanesh and then use the Marauders.
They're 9+.
Yeah,
to
bring the other unit in, right?
Yeah.
So your Chaos Warriors or Knights are also auto-making the charge, right? That's actually the use of this. Joking aside.
Right. You could do... And you do the War Queen, who adds the 3 inches to the charge.
I mean, you don't need to at that point. It's fine, but sure. You're sitting at 9 inches, but the Knights and the Marauders are within 6 inches of each other. You just use you roll the 1 roll, which is you use, assumingly you get to use the rules off the Marauder thing. Although I'll say that probably needs to be FAQ'd, right? Do you get to, are you just making 1 generic charge roll, or can you still call to the special rules on the Marauder scroll? Right.
Yeah.
Good question.
The scroll builder the chat just floated 2 units of 10 chariots.
If only you could take chariots in 10s. Yes.
So
Let's do the math on that.
I mean, checked out.
Sure. Your command ability, you can use this command ability at the start of the combat phase. If you do so, pick one host, wholly within 12 of the hero. Till the end of that phase, if the unmodified save roll for an attack that targets that unit is 6, the attacking unit suffers 1 mortal wound. After all the attacks have been resolved, a very nurgly ability. Okay, whatever. Don't care. All your stuff dies if you get attacked, so that's fine. But, you know, cool. I mean, not terrible for just, like, big, if you had big Slanesh Chaos Warrior blocks or something, that can be actually kind of fun. And then your command trait, you can reroll Battle Shock tests for friendly Scarlet Cavalcade, Godseeker, host units wholly within 12 of this general. Okay, cool. And your artifact is add 1 to the bravery characteristic of friendly Scarlet Cavalcade, Godseeker, host units while they're wholly within 12. Well, how'd you do? The Godseekers one's bad, by the way, in case I haven't made that abundantly clear.
I don't know exactly what they do.
You want to nerf yourself?
Yeah, chat. That max unit size is 3, so you can fit it on the table. You just gotta have
Open play,
information.
bro. Open play. It says you can take
Yeah,
any.
there you go.
Open play.
Literally, chat is like trying to wrap their brain around how to fit them on the table. Like, the base size is too big.
So yeah, I mean, like, I like the Invaders one, I like the Pretenders one, the Godseekers one is bad. There you go.
We won't pretend that you like the Godseekers one. Got it.
No. Yep. I can't be a pretender. I like the Godseekers. Yes. I don't like the Godseekers, sorry. All right, so there you go. So, gentlemen, would you like to talk a little bit about the narrative of this book? And then let's close it out. We can do a few minutes on it.
Let's talk about some awesome Bone Daddies.
Okay, so we will. I'll warn everybody right now that we're going to do some spoilers for this story. So if you don't want any spoilers, if you want to read it for yourself, that's fine. If you are going to leave, then I'll do my thing. Please give a like now. That helps other people find the video and stuff like that. So do that before you leave. Otherwise, thank you very much. Okay, and then here we go. Now let's talk narrative. Everybody ready? 3, 2, 1. Narrative talk.
Yeah.
So what did you guys think of this story overall? Who wants to give me a summation of what happened in the story?
Brought Palpatine back. I did not see that coming.
That's super surprising, right?
Wait, sorry, what did you just ask?
Who wants to give a little wrap up of the story? Like, who wants to just be like, kind of give me an overview?
The overview, like the full overview, or like
Broad strokes. Give me a paragraph.
broad strokes.
Go for it.
Right.
Oh,
Okay.
he coming. Good.
Yeah. This is Brian.
Okay. So Nagash takes this opportunity because Archeon is searching for Slanesh, and Nagash wants to send his undead armies into the 8 points. And he does so by getting Catacross to put together an invasion force, which he sends Lady Ollander and the Night Haunt through first. There's a realm gate that is called the End Gate that connects the 8 points to Shyish. And they've long been sending chaos forces through the End Gate. And Nagash is like, I'm sick of this. No. They send the Night Haunt through.
Asshole.
Take over this just as on the outside.
We don't need a play-by-play.
Okay. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how much are we doing here? We doing everything?
No, you're good. You're good.
Keep going
Yeah.
about this level. So the Night Haunt go through, and then give me about that level. Like, we don't need the blow by blow of the battle.
Got to there. And they
What happens?
Yeah.
They take it.
Yeah, they take it.
Yeah.
They move forward a little bit. Chaos sounds a big alarm to try and stop them, and they push back the Night Haunt, but they fall into Catacross's trap. And then he destroys all these chaos armies, but instead of pursuing them all the way to the Varanspire, he turns Karhite into the Ark's Terminus, which is now a death fortress, and they now have control of this realm gate.
Yes.
And from there, then Catacross marches all the way up to the 8 points, and Archeon finally gets back in time to find everything screwed up. They have a massive battle, and Archeon wins. Catacross is sent back to whatever Bone Reaper spirit factory that he's remade in.
Get reforged.
Yeah, but he like the blow that Archeon did to him. He actually feels still, even though he's not supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Even in his reconstituted form. Yes. This is where we learn that, like, this is going to be one of those things where, because so that's a very good overview, right? There's lots of fun little elements in here. I do like that Chaos Dwarves get a shout out that they have like a foundry city that like Catacross just steamrolls without stopping. They get like a paragraph of him just blasting this thing to bits, and it's just like, yep. And there were Chaos Dwarves, and then they all died because Catacross is super pimp and Chaos Dwarves are not.
Yeah, don't buy them.
They're not a real
Yeah,
thing.
They're not a real thing. Only Forge World.
But the interesting part was, yes, that fortress, that it's now the Ark's terminus or whatever. Yes. Is now Catacrosis' stronghold. There's some really cool sort of ways, like just it's neat how they talk about him building it out and building up like his bone factory. And they talk about a lot of war machines that aren't actually in the army, but they're still, but like narratively they use all these different ballistae and stuff like that, which is cool.
In the full color photo section of the book, there is some terrain that looks a little bit like plastic kit terrain.
Oh, this goes back and forth online where everybody's always bugging GW community team and they're like, is this
a
kit?
real is this
And they
a kit
insist
coming
that
out?
it is not. That
Yeah.
it is something
It's just
that
stuff that they have masterful terrain builders, and I'm sure that's what it is.
Well, I'm without a doubt. But I guess what I'm saying is that like there's a railing in that kit that is, I mean, it's probably clearly 3D printed or whatever it is that look, because it looks super not homemade. But it looks like it's in the, what's the word I'm looking for, in terms of the quality of the design of it. It's perfectly in aesthetic alignment or artistic alignment with the faction terrain that's coming out. Right. And I was looking for the page number so that you can sync up with me on this one. But just to examine it, it is, that's the piece I'm talking about, Jack. It's on page 36 if you get the book, on the left side.
Right now, I think it's the best conspiracy theory because I keep seeing this discussion online about like, when do we get to buy this?
Yeah.
And then the community team is just like, no, like, this isn't a kit.
Yeah, it is a super cool piece of terrain, like that's for sure.
I have a former Weta artist in our garage who's just going nuts right now, building amazing things. Anyway, I couldn't let this conspiracy theory go. It's also on page 70. It's a castle. Let me just describe it. It's a castle wall.
I held up the picture for everybody.
Yeah, with this amazing, like skull.
Yeah, this huge skull gate. Yeah, it's super great.
So it's like how they described the Ark's terminus, that like it was, this Chaos Fortress Carhite, and then Catacross is just like, nah, we're gonna just put bones all over it, and then all of the bone shapers, like all of the mortisans, just reform it.
Yeah,
just the way that they do like their soldiers, but on this like grand scale of restructuring this Chaos Fort into a Bone Reaper Fort.
Right, and there's another picture on 73. So the tower is clearly, that looks pretty homemade, but like the rest of it is,
that terrain was in their book. Like that terrain was in the OBR book originally, and they like that's the one that I had said that, hey, like there looks like we're getting terrain, from the video, and they're like, nope, and they shut us down like 4 months ago. Or even more than that, I guess at this point it's 5 months ago, and so that's all just the same stuff they're reusing.
You sound super convinced, and this isn't Tomb Kings 2.0, Tom.
I want to be wrong. Let me say that. I do.
Yeah, I want you to be wrong. I want, like, if they're watching, they need to consider it seriously. Get some cast going. This is incredible.
So there's a couple narrative moments I really want to hit on here in this story. One is not part of the Catacross invasion, but it's when Archaon goes to free Slaanesh. That's a super awesome conversation between the two of them, because like Slaanesh, herself, and Archaon have a sort of discussion. Like he is one who's not really cowed by the Chaos Gods, and so he can sort of openly have a conversation with this being of ineffable power, right? And it's a cool scene, but what I love about it is how stupid the elves are. Okay.
That would be
so like obviously Archaon just shows up with his swords of chaos and just steamrolls the Lumineth. I like seeing them lose a battle before they even exist. That makes me laugh.
It's nice.
One. Two, the whole idea of the chains that bind Slaanesh in place are these like paradox chains. It's supposed to be like impossibilities to break the chains, right? Well, first of all, somebody needs to relook up like what paradox means. But anyways, like the whole point is this one can only be, Slaanesh is like, oh, only a servant of Khorne could break that chain. He's the only one with the power. The elves knew that my brother would never come to save me. And then, like, Dorger lands and just uses his corn head and snaps the thing in half in 2 seconds and is like, well, handled that problem. Paradox done. Get it out of here.
Child can give me a name. A human child. Are you telling me that Archeon's riding a luck dragon?
Yes. Yes. Like, I love how the elves have no conception of this. Like, they made that and they were like, wait a minute. Doesn't the Lord of the Apocalypse have a mount that has like a corn head on it? Wouldn't that break this? No, of course Teclis didn't think of this. As always, he continues to be the worst, the least forethinking wizard who's just I read that and I was just like, of course.
If only he could have predicted.
Like, as I was reading the text, as soon as Slanesh said, only Khorne's servants can break this chain, I was like, oh, so Dorger's just going to bite it in half. And then, like, half a paragraph later, there it was. So, like, if I thought of it in half a second, come on. Anyway, and then Archeon gets called away because he knows that the 8 Point's in trouble. And he's like, darn it. And they'll move him because they can move like the elves can move Slanesh's entire prison in the Gloamling. So he's like, well, they'll repair the damage I dealt and move him. I know where he is now, roughly, but I'll have to go find him again. And he gets kind of annoyed.
Yeah, I love they haven't closed it yet.
I really like that part of the story too, because even though, that's not the main story of Catacross invading the 8 Points, that to me is the story that's left the most open for either another book or even just the Lumineth book, is how Tyrion and Teclis respond to Archeon just flew in here, broke or killed like all of our dudes and broke the chain. What are we going to do about this?
Right. I mean, it clearly shows why the Lumineth come forth, right? Because they realize they can't just hide here anymore. They've been found, and now it's time to go on the offensive. So
you move the hostage, and then you go fighting.
Most of the actual battles are pretty rote, straightforward stuff, just meant to set up battle plans, like the fights throughout there. It's a lot of back and forth. It's interesting enough. Catacross is shown to be like an excellent tactician through like when he's fighting morons, basically. Like, he's not Sun Tzu because he's fighting just like demented mad lunatics. The only chaos hero who was portrayed to have any brains in their head is the Dark Oath War Queen, who they're clearly building up as a character because she survives the whole thing.
She survived 2 campaign books.
Yes, yeah, she survived 2 campaign books now. Yeah, that's right. And so they like, it's like, yes, Catacross is really good at predicting how effectively like hordes of unthinking madmen act, is what it comes down to,
Fight me in this canyon next to a river of like boiling metal or something.
Yeah, exactly. And then a huge cliff that drops into into nowhere. So, but for the most part, he's shown to have it's interesting because he has a lot of like tactical prowess. Lady Olander gets chumped in there too. I don't remember her brings her down, but it's like but somebody ends up killing her off.
Oh, it's Belacor.
Oh, that's right. Yep, you're right. It is Belacor. And I mean, it doesn't matter. She comes back because ghost reform. But the interesting part is like Catacross uses all these tactics, and then he effectively has this big Xanatos gambit, right, where he's seeing how far in he can push before Archeon comes back, and then like Archeon comes back and just handles it, just immediately. There's no like Catacross. The whole story is Catacross being like very careful, making these like really measured moves of like choosing each battleground carefully, aligning his forces. He has like false fronts, false retreats all over the place, right? Like he's portrayed to be very tactical, and he has to be to win, right? Because several times the sort of tide turns against him before he sort of brings it back. But then Archeon comes in and does not bring tactics. He's just like, nope, I'm back. All my people are here. Kill all those guys. And he just like flies in and is just like, nope, dead. There you go. That's it for that. Handled this problem.
You're saying he marries Susan.
I mean, Archeon is he's portrayed to be this sort of unstoppable force of nature in there, right? Like, Catacross sort of acts like a general would have to act, and then Archeon just swoops in and is like, nope, done with this. I'm done with all this nonsense.
I'm chaos, bitches.
Yes.
Well, he does have 2 Rin now, so I can see that.
That's a really good point. It's a really
Checks
good point.
out.
Yeah, once you have 2 rend, you're super good. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the mathematicians have come back on that one after
That's
a
what
long
we call
time.
a callback in the business.
They call back.
So yeah, I mean, overall it was cool because it did set up that now Death has a foothold in the 8 points, right? That they have this big unassailable fortress that you do believe, given it, that even Archeon and his forces would have extreme difficulty assaulting. And he would have to commit massive forces to actually peel Catacross back out of there. And I like that you kind of get that. You get some nice moments with Catacross. You just see more of his character, I think, than anybody else's. He's actually like the protagonist of the story, as it were.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, after reading the description of the 8 points in the Warcry lore, it is such a desolate and blurred realm between the realities, the calcification of magic, which is now the new realities, and the realm of chaos. And just to have Death go in there and just kind of sit there is cool. I mean, it's not the typical, oh, and the Stormhost have a shining bastion of light that the free folk will. No. This place is awful.
Horrible.
It's toxic.
Death
Yeah.
for
It's killing you. There's a statue that says memes all the time.
Was that Slanesh talking again? Sounds just like Vincent Slanesh voice.
I just like what that part of the story does too, then to just give you that nudge of like where you want to place your games. So if you're playing Death versus Chaos, now you have rules for the 8 points, but now you've got that, like, you feel more a part of what's going on. To be like, well, now I can send my Death army through the Ark's terminus and go rampage into the 8 points. Like, that's a new cool thing that I wouldn't have thought to do unless Games Workshop told me I should.
Right. I hope some people do pick up and use the realm rules for the 8 points. I think it's a cool addition. Like, a lot of tournaments use the realm rules. I think it's perfectly usable because the command ability basically will do, or sorry, not the command ability. The spell does nothing if you're not using the roaming spells or whatever. So who cares? That's fine. That's just a non thing, and you don't have to worry about it. Great. The command ability is cool because it works with all endless spells and does a cool thing. And more or less all of the realm abilities are really neat. Like, there's one where everybody can run and charge all the time, right? Mm-hmm. But if anybody runs and charges, they take D3 mortal wounds after the charge is resolved. Like, what a cool, like, that's a super cool realm ability there. Like, that's really interesting in how that works with the game. So, yeah, I think that's cool. I like the 8 points as a setting. I like that we cracked it open, that it's not just the realm of chaos, because once the gates open like this, as you mentioned, other people can come in too now. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, narratively, once it's not sort of this hegemonic control, now there's gaps, because when two big, things are fighting, other people can then sneak around the edges a lot, right?
Right. You can send Flesh Eater Courts through, Leeches of Nagash will go through now. Like,
right.
You can do anything.
So I like all of that. I wish we got a little more time, actually, just like with Catacross not fighting, just talking. I like this sort of epilogue at the end, because he walks into like a hall that has like 30 of his bodies, right? And he's like, keep at it. I'm going to need more. I'm going to get splatted all over the place many times in this campaign, because he was sort of testing what Archeon was capable of, basically.
Yeah.
And
Chat mentioned that too, that it hints that he wanted to see the full force just to measure him.
Yes. Well, he did. He measured him real hard, and then into the ground.
I was today days old when I learned how hard he hits.
Yes, exactly. He got sent back to his spawn point. He got hit so hard, like
he did spawn.
Yeah, Catacross is basically playing an MMO now at this point. Like, he's invading, and he's gonna keep going until he dies, and then can respawn.
Archeon definitely is a raid boss. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Practice.
As someone who's desperately trying to paint Nighthaunt for Adepticon, it did feel very motivating. Just the way they're portrayed in the story, like especially their initial assault. It's just terrifying and overwhelming. I thought that was really cool. And then Lady Olinder gets the kill on Lord Sascarid.
Yeah, the Lord on Karkadrak, who just like she shows him his face and explodes his heart, or she shows him her face and his heart explodes in his chest. Yeah, that's a great moment. I did dig that.
Stand ahead.
I do love how the cheater, by the way, on the chaos side in the whole story is a gaunt summoner of Tzeentch, who's just floating around causing problems the whole time. And as soon as he sees the fortress is lost, he like takes his silver tower and bounces. He's like, "I'm out. This is lost. Bye."
Gone.
Everybody else has to die, but nope, not that dude. As usual, they end up being the bad guys. So yeah, overall, I think this book is really worth it. I'm super happy with this. Obviously, I play a lot of different Chaos armies, so this has like a high value to me because I have everything except Nurgle.
It's just big for you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This is very much written for me. But I'd love to see another one of these. Come like Q3 or something. I think that'd be great. So
I would also,
it's clearly going to be destruction.
sure, fine with that.
Was that a prediction?
do we have
I
a?
mean, it's just logic because we've had like an order release with Firestorm. We had Malign Portents. We had a death campaign focus, and now we've had the all points basically, which is mostly chaos focused. So probably destruction's next.
Okay. So what's his name trying to invade Azer like a dum-dum? Gordrak trying to invade Azer.
Probably. Right. Or he just takes that big ram that can knock down anything and starts knocking down doors in the all points.
Sure,
like he
that'd
just
be cool.
shows up.
I'd love it if
and
he
just-
got that and like he was like, you know what, Azer's not worth it. I'm just busting through the all points. We're getting into this. Look at all
Right.
these lads. There's lots of good crumping over here. Let's go. Look at all this.
Right.
You know.
And he's like, okay, let's go for the Varan Spire or
Right,
whatever.
sure.
Like maybe he just gives up Azer and he's like, I'm taking the Varan Spire. Let's do this.
Yeah. I'd
In
be
the
down for
YOLO
that.
10.
They hold their gate that connects to the all
Right.
points. Like destruction holds their gate to the realm of beasts or whatever.
Right, but that's not what we're talking about.
No, I understand. I'm just
We're
saying,
talking
like,
about because like what's better than the green tide invading like a realm? It's invading all of them.
Yeah, I get it.
Like them
So-
pouring into the all points and then just spilling into all the realms.
Yeah, like running through the gates like Scooby-Doo in the old cartoons when they would go like door
Sure.
to door. It's just them running that ram from like out of Gur and then over into Haish and then coming out a different portal and then running back into Ulgu and then over into Shaiish. They're just like, just start that music as they go back and forth. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Excellent. All right, gentlemen, any final thoughts from the Rerolling One's crew?
We gonna plug.
Yeah, plug away. Anything you want to say?
Ember Vault.
Oh,
Campaign.
just
Yeah.
pretty soon we're going to be starting a new. We're going to be trying a campaign on our channel.
Nice.
It's going to be focused around a storm vault called the Ember Vault. It's kind of just something like we've been working on for a couple months and haven't been able to get off the ground yet. But will be something new and exciting to look
We're starting
forward
in
from
March,
us.
definitely.
Starting in March, yeah.
So tune in. Gonna try something new, and it's gonna be fun. Brent has worked overtime on this. I want to thank you. He's a writer, and he wrote some great lore and stuff. And I'm really excited about it. The whole channel is excited about it. So yeah, check us out in March.
Yeah.
But I guess as this relates then to like the book too, like putting that together, like the rules that we're going to use for that. Now with Wrath of the Everchosen too, thinking about like future campaigns, I feel like this book has offered a lot of new stuff to play with that I think we'd be looking forward to using in other campaigns too. So I'm glad that this material is, presumably going to start coming out from Games Workshop. That if we're going to start kind of doing this, we're going to start doing more campaigns, then they're going to keep, offering material that's going to help that.
Yeah.
Nice. Dig it.
We're jazzed.
Yeah, and this book is I give it a solid A. I enjoy
agree.
it.
For Archaon?
Yeah.
A for Archeon. That's right. All right, everybody. Well, thank you very much. There he is. There's the big boy himself, ready to smash Catacross to pieces. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. We certainly appreciate it. Thank you, Rerolling One's crew. It's awesome to have you guys back on. Can't wait to see all of you at AdeptCon. It's going to be an amazing time. For all of you out there watching, thank you so much. Like I said, hit like if you didn't already. The more of that engagement, it just helps more people find the video, and we always want to be sharing with everybody out there. So that is really deeply appreciated when people do that. So thank you for hitting that, subscribing, doing all that wonderful stuff. That is super nice. Rerolling One's channel will be linked below. If you're not already watching their bat reps, do go check them out, as well as links to everything else we talked about earlier in the Pick of the Week segment. But as always, folks, I very much appreciate you watching this one, and we will see you next Wednesday.